It's not a September Saturday without Dartmouth football, so we're hopping in the time machine to bring you the Big Green on the Gridiron today. We'll go back to opening night in Hanover, September 17th, 2016, for a Granite State showdown between Dartmouth and the number 22 UNH Wildcats. They'd gone unbeaten against the Big Green in their previous 20 matchups, dating all the way back to 1976. Dartmouth set a record with its 18th Ivy League title thanks to a 9-1 season the year before, but graduated 17 of 22 starters, including four-year starting quarterback Dalen Williams. So if the Big Green wanted to beat UNH for the first time in over 40 years, they'd have to do it behind a new-look defense and junior quarterback Jack Hennigan, who was making his first career start. Hi, everybody. I'm Dartmouth ESPN Plus football broadcaster Tyler Murray, and we're so glad to have you aboard for this classic edition of Big Green football. We'll be reliving some of our favorite games throughout this fall, with the help of some Dartmouth greats. Enough about me. Let's introduce today's special guests from across the country, starting first with the head football coach from Hanover, New Hampshire. It's Buddy Stevens.
Tyler, great to be here. Another football Saturday in Hanover. A little bit different for us, but living virtually is not so bad.
And another member of the coaching staff nice enough to join us from Portland, Maine today. It's defensive line coach Dwayne Brooks.
Well, thanks, Tyler. I really appreciate it. I'm humbled and amazed. And I thank Brandon for having me on here. Thank you, Brandon.
And we couldn't relive this game without two of the stars. First, from the Bay Area, it's quarterback Jack Hennigan.
Hey, guys. Excited to be here. Thanks for having me on. It's been a while since we've seen this film.
And from the north side of Chicago, defensive lineman Brennan Cascarano.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Look out for number 93 in black, Cascarano making his first varsity start. Now, this game was broadcast on Fox College Sports, and the broadcast began because of a bit of a later game earlier into the second or third drive. So we'll pick it up right there. And today's game is brought to you by Ledyard National Bank, the official banking partner of Dartmouth Athletics. Visit ledyardbank.com or visit a branch to check out Ledyard's Dartmouth Athletics branded debit cards. Ledyard National Bank, plan well, live well, play well. Now, Coach Stevens, we'll let you get this thing started with what we're going to see right away on the broadcast, a long drought of beating UNH. How much of a factor was that in motivating this team coming in?
Well, for the guys on the team, I think it was more the idea of playing a top 25 team annually. And UNH had been dominant at the NAA level. And to establish ourselves at that level, we felt we had talent. Having an opportunity to play UNH at our home was a big game for us.
First play right away from UNH. They like to go quick. This isn't their first drive. They started with a 3-and-out after an early interception. And Coach Brooks, he said they came out so quickly, it almost felt like they thought they were going to roll through this game.
Oh, yeah, I think, because we hadn't beaten them in a while, and they had the running back was just coming off with 199 yards rushing. And I thought they were going to steamroll us, and I think the first play of the game was a 3-yard tackle for loss. Then we had a sack, and then we batted the ball down, so they were 3-and-out. I think we scared them. Gave us a chance.
You saw the first tackle from Brennan there on that second down play. Does that get the butterflies out for you? You know you were practice squad MVP the previous year, but a bit different right here.
It was. Watching it right now is bringing back memories of how, practice, you want it to be as fast as game tempo, but this was actually my first career game, and game tempo was so much faster. You could just tell, but I kind of slowly got adjusted to it throughout the game, and I guess it turned out pretty well for me.
Brendan was always a high energy player. How were you going into the ball game? Obviously, your first one, a big one for us, and you're an energetic dude.
This was my first game, so I didn't have the benefit of getting in the, I don't know if you want to call it garbage time or whatever, the previous year, the other players on the D-line did, but I just felt like just going as fast as I could, playing as fast. I'm a D lineman, so I love to hit, so that was a good part for me, but yeah, it was. I was surprised at how fast I got adjusted to game speed.
I think too with Brennan was that Rocco had hurt had broke his foot, so he was out. You know, Jackson Perry in the beginning of the game tore his knee, so Brendan had to play more reps than we had anticipated, and he was phenomenal. It was crazy. It made me almost.
First down, Knight rolling to his right. Has some space to run.
And Trevor Knight, he's a sophomore. He won that job in training camp, the quarterback for UNH. How tough was he to prepare for, guys, as you game plan for a nationally ranked team who came into this one 12 consecutive appearances in the national tournament? At the time, it was the longest active streak in the country.
He was really a dual threat. He hurt you with your feet, and he threw the ball well. They had a good offensive line, protected him extremely well, and a good core of receivers. So the whole push defensively and offensively was a collective effort. Let's keep the ball as long as we can and limit their opportunities, and then obviously make some big plays and pressure them from a defensive standpoint. And the guys
there from Eric Miley.
Eric was another baller, man. Those guys get after it.
And I think, too, I don't think they thought we'd be as fast as we were on the perimeter because they kept going to it, you know, and that's it. That kid just came off 200 yards rushing. You think they would try to at least, I mean, he was at San Diego State. You think they'd try to run it down our throats to get us, you know, put him in the game. But
I was going to say that, Coach, but I don't remember them really, like, running between the tackles during this game.
Right. Put enough pressure on to make him have to run. He didn't throw well on.
Our back end guys really did a nice job as well. Lucas Bavaro and Jarius Brown, Colin Boyd, Danny McManus, because they had a slew of good receivers. And this guy came and they answered step for step.
Not much of a chance on that pass.
New Hampshire fell behind early last week against Holy Cross.
And I think, too, for them, too, is that, you know, they beat us like we stole money the year before, right? I mean, they beat us down. They probably could have scored 1,000. They really put it on us. You know, and I just thought they just didn't think we were going to be very good.
That was our freshman year, yeah.
I've been your freshman, yeah.
They just credited Jack Trainer with that tackle. Very young version of Jack Trainer, who wound up being one of the better linebackers in program history.
We've never hesitated to play young guys, get them on the field, get some experience, and it really makes a difference over the course of time. And as Brendan said, you know, coming in and just having not played at all, it's a little bit of a shock and an adjustment. He certainly transitioned very, very well. But if we can get a guy into a game early on in his freshman year, it becomes a little bit easier as he ages and develops.
So the missed field goal there from Morgan Ellman, still scoreless, and this will be the third drive for the Dartmouth offense. But for us on this recreation or reliving broadcast, we're going to get our first look at Jack Hennigan. Jack, give us an idea of what's going through your mind right now in your first career start.
Yeah, kind of similar to what Brendan said. I had been in a couple games before, but for like no more than 3 or 4 plays at a time. So was feeling the butterflies for sure. You know, we'd had a good camp and good spring as a team going into that. But I think me on this drive that we'll see in a second, and then just a lot of guys on the whole offense hadn't played a lot before this year because we'd had a really deep and talented offense the year before, and so. You know, it wasn't just me. It was guys in the O-line, some of the receivers and stuff. A lot of guys get stacked.
So. Jack was always cool and calm and collected, and he may have been churning inside. But that's a leadership model for a lot of guys that hadn't played much football. Just calm, all the plays, made things happen.
Good tackling, though, by the Wildcats.
Seemed like a lot of the early plays on your first half drives, Jack, were passes like we just saw here to Houston Brown. Was he kind of that security blanket to start your first few drives?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he was I think our leading receiver coming into that year from the prior year, so he was a leader for that group, and he makes some good plays in this game. But I mean, it wasn't just him. Like that was number 17 there is Emmanuel Soto. I think he was a freshman or a sophomore at the time. Number 83 on the play before Honeycutt. He was a sophomore at the time. So, you know, young guys at receiver were getting in the mix. And then, you know, for guys like Drew and Hunter, that really, I think, paid off like the next 2 or 3 years in school when they kind of fully grew into their roles and had big years.
Not much offense early, but tight games like this, sometimes the special teams can make a difference.
This was huge, obviously. Sam McCorkle, our special teams coordinator, does a great job with it. And we've got a bunch of starters out there. Our mindset, get our best guys out and ready to play. And turnover by field position, and you just see those guys as they come down field. Just very, very aggressive. Guy must be ball, and we're right there on the spot.
And I think also, Coach, with the special teams part of it, like I said, we missed it in the first when they kicked off to us, we almost broke it and ran it back. You know, Charlie got tripped.
Those little details, our coaching staff really does a nice job. And every one of them, Dwayne's involved with an aspect, basically all of our coaches were coaching some aspect.
Charlie Miller, who was on at first, and then Wiley with the recovery. Now inside the red zone are the Big Green.
They go from a 3 and out to right back in the red zone there, Jack. That's got to be a relieving feeling for you to get another chance this quickly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was that's the quarterback's best friend is good special teams.
Quick pass complete to Steven Johnston. He's brought down shy of the 15-yard line.
Very, very solid tight end for us. Blocker in and ball catcher.
Steven was also, he was probably one of the only guys in our class that had played in the last game against UNH when we were freshmen. A lot of us, that was our first or second game in our whole career at Dartmouth, so a lot of us didn't travel play, but Stuess was like the starting tight end that week, I think, or caught a touchdown. So he was pretty experienced going into this relative to.
Intended for Drew Honeycutt.
The offensive line is yelling as well. A bunch of guys that Hennigan as starters, Zach Davis,
pretty good protection
Morrison, Pat and John Thomas. So they're doing it. UNH has some guys up front, and I thought we did a pretty good job protecting. And Jack certainly got rid of the ball quickly.
Hennigan's parents, graduates of University of Pennsylvania. In fact, his dad was an all Ivy League tight end. He'll keep it here, looking for the sticks. He has the
Nice Cape Cubes.
Crack doesn't feel good when you hit it like that.
It was a great read on that defensive end. Just frozen.
A little bit, but watch here. Hennigan does a great job.
You should have ran more, Cowboy. You should have ran more.
Watch that. That's a little bit of a late.
Oh, that was kind of a late hit.
That was a little bit of a flop too.
First and goal now for Dartmouth at the 7-yard line. Looking to strike first in this Granite State.
You guys running the pistol there, that read option, Jack?
Yeah, we were doing a lot of that, the whole time there. We do some pistol where the running back's right behind, somewhere it's
freshman receiver Hunter
traditional
Hagdorn
nobody's
on
come
the
off
field
that,
there,
like in this shot, because then he can run downhill like that. And, they get him there, but usually with Ryder, that was a pretty good bet. He's going downhill.
Look back at
Ryder's
play
tough
where
guy.
Hennigan was able to get the first down so good.
You're a 49ers guy, Jack, and of course you played for them. It kind of reminds me of the Jim Harbaugh teams went to those 3 NFC championships with that offense.
Yeah, they did a lot of complicated like run blocking wise and stuff, and we had some of that coach out. Coach for our O-line had the ready to go with all the different schemes. So yeah, we mixed it up. It was good.
Stone in the backfield in this pistol formation.
Done a great play action. Jack was very effective with that.
Is that Houston?
Yeah, it's Houston.
Jack, you talk a lot on the field. What are you saying when you're out there with the guys?
I'm not sure. I don't really remember what I was saying there. I just kind of getting guys fired up. I think everyone was pretty pumped on this. This is our first score, and this is the first touchdown I'd thrown or anything like that. So I was pretty fired up. Just congratulating guys.
So first career touchdown
Love that. The crowd up. I know that. We had a good crowd.
Four touchdowns a season ago, and his first this year. Trouble on the hold there, but looked like able to get it down.
What was the quarterback competition like in camp? I know there were a lot of guys that didn't have a ton of experience coming in. Buddy, did you maybe have Jack earmarked when camp opened up, or did he really have to fully earn that job through training camp?
No, he had a spring practice for us, and he worked really hard at it. We had a striver set up, virtual reality, and he used it as much as anybody in the country. Technology, again, very, very helpful. But it was so intense and so competitive. Quiet, unassuming, he helped all the other guys, but he wanted it badly and just really emerged. Very, very steady for us.
And there was a conversation on the bench there, Jack, with a coach. I've always wondered, after you lead a touchdown drive, what's there to say besides good job?
Oh, no, there's a bunch to say. Coach T and Coach Brooks know, like, just because the outcome of a certain drive or whatever worked out, there's plenty to talk about, and good and bad. And then even when you score, like, you're greedy, you want to get another one, so you're probably talking about what you saw you can exploit the next drive or something like that.
That's Kevin Daft, our quarterback coach, does a real good job, and it gets on the phone right after. It is generally a review. Okay, the score is great, but what happened leading up to it, the fronts, adjustments, plays, and thoughts we may have. Jack was also very helpful with that, just to see things on the field that he could communicate to the coaches. And that dialogue was very, very clever.
Kickoffs from the 35. Wildcats out of the
I'll go back to our defensive guys now that UNH has the ball. Brendan, I'd like you and Dwayne to both answer this. We'll ask you first, but the previous year, Ivy League champs, and 10 points allowed per game. It was #1 in FCS. What was it like trying to come in and follow up that dominating unit that graduated all but one guy?
I don't think we ever could. The class of 2016, that defense was so dominant in so many ways. I don't think we were certainly different and very good our senior year, but that squad was in a class of its own. It was really dominant in ways that we could never beat. But this game, we were still riding high on that pride of defense. So we definitely love the defense at Dartmouth and love playing for Coach Dobes.
And I think with just us frontally, Brennan's class, they had 6 guys, and Nick Tompkins always got all the pub that he was, because he was always the guy that made all, you could see him because he played the end and he was 6'5", and you saw him.
Front court, the big green, still 7 seconds on the play clock here.
As an individual, they were really good, but together,
to the 20-yard line.
we played 8 of us. And they really played off each other, and you can see during this game, you have, we were playing the 4-man front this game, so we had 9 guys playing, and everybody's playing different positions, even though they didn't want to play different places, but we had to just to make up and get our energy back. We could play off each other. But I don't think anybody's ever going to be like Zuda and Cody. Those guys are just different people.
Second and 12 here.
But as a group, those guys, Brennan's class, so that was a great.
We had some characters: Zach Hussein up front, Jeremiah Boucher, Nicky Tompkins, as you mentioned, Charlie Pontarelli, and Coach Coop did a great job with those guys.
We had Coop, we had Diesel. I mean, even Diesel's in the game, right? So we're throwing people around and people running, making plays. Feeling good. We just feel good and we get away with some things. So.
And Tyler, if you don't mind, I'd just like to plug the best D-line coach in all of college football, Dwayne Brooks. If I was a recruit coming out of high school right now and I had a chance to play for Coach Brooks, it's just a no-brainer. There's a reason we've been so good over the years just because of him. So.
What makes him so good?
I don't know if I'm that good of a coach, but I'm in the room, so I'll take some. I'm in a room sometimes every Thursday.
What was different about Coach Brooks is he really made it fun to play for him, whereas it wasn't all just business. He kind of facilitated a culture of what we called the dog pound, like D-line, and it was just way more fun playing for him than it would have been.
And help Brennan out. I mean, we're all supposed to be good football players, so why should we talk about it? So we never really talked about football. We talked about a whole lot of things we probably shouldn't have talked about, but it made everybody relax and understand. I'm the whole Montessori guy. You learn on your own. You learn from your friends. I'm just trying to navigate. But we all know we're supposed to be really good. So make yourself good, but you can't have. It's fun. Our room is a different room now.
It is colorful. We had a lot of laughter coming out of the room.
Yeah, we're ridiculous at times, but it's fun.
Great job. And then
The biggest thing I think is great cohesiveness. They're playing 9 guys. There's no one selfishness. Guys get in, they have 3, 4, 5 snaps, and they're just flat out. They're balling every second they're in there, and the next guy gets his shot, and the guy just coming off the steering here.
Substitution infraction. Offense.
And just, everybody's going to get a chance sooner or later, and we are going to get a chance. And if you play well, we'll clap your hand. If you don't play well, we'll make fun of you. So you got to figure out how you're going to do it.
Hear something that you don't necessarily hear. You got 12 guys.
Buddy, I know you coached Dwayne at Maine, and then after he got his coaching career underway, then you brought him to Dartmouth. So you must have seen something with success on the field and on the sideline too.
Well, quite often they say coaches' players reflect his personality, and that was great. Energetic, he'd stir it up, and he was a tough guy. Wouldn't come off the field playing pain, and just had a mindset. And it's again that kind of he exudes that, and I think our players absorb it. And it is. I mean, he's a fun guy to have a coaching staff. He come up with the one-liners and challenge him certain things, and it breeds cohesion. But he's always been a leader from the time he played, continuing this day as a coach.
That's a championship well earned.
This is recorded, right? We got Coach and I recording. This is recorded.
I may have a pay raise request come Monday.
I just say thank God for Mrs. T because she really likes me, so I think that's why I'm around. Thanks, Coach. I appreciate it, man.
A couple plays ago, meanwhile, we saw the first catch from Hunter Hagdorn. He's going to wind up with 56 this year and win Ivy League Rookie of the Year. Tell us about throwing at him, Jack, and what a talent he was early and what he eventually became.
Yeah, he was awesome. It was great to have him. It's as we've talked about now, it's not super common for freshmen, like some of the skill positions, to get reps really early in their career. But I think he was a guy that as soon as he got to campus or even before that, people were fired up about him, and he ran good routes, caught the ball well, and made good plays with the ball in his hands. So no-brainer to try to get the ball to a guy like that, both in this game and like this year, and then he only got better as he went. So this next year, after this one, my senior year was really great to play with him because he just kept getting better.
I believe you are correct.
Jack could put the ball in a spot that guys could make catches, and we had a number of guys. Houston Brown, obviously one. Drew Honeycutt, another young player that came in. Hunter, Chucky, Mac really did a great job for us. We spread it around, and likewise with the defensive front, we play a lot of wide receivers.
Stands in that pocket well, but sometimes he's just delivering the ball a split second too late. Watch him. He's got pretty good protection, stands in the pocket, knows there's a lot of things.
Last few plays of the first quarter here. Sack, incompletion, so setting up a 3rd and long. And at this stage in the game, it seems like you've already proven to UNH that they're just not going to walk in here and keep that streak alive without a fight. So it's got to feel pretty good, at least after the first 15 minutes, Coach.
Yeah, I think performance like that against a strong opponent engenders confidence, and we had the skill set to play at a high level. So again, a lot of untested guys, maybe some uncertainty, but as coaches, we knew that hey, we play well, we'll have an opportunity. And that just kept picking up. The confidence, you could see it on the sideline, the energy, and I really like that about our program is everybody's into it. And nobody's just kind of fiddling off the sideline, paying no attention. They're all plugged in. And I give great credit to our coaching staff for developing that with our guys.
Well, you see it again there, a touchdown pass from Jack Hennigan to Houston Brown, and Dartmouth has a 7-0 lead as we take our first break in this classic look back at the Big Green taking on the UNH Wildcats in the 2016 home opener.
Make your debit card green. Big Green. Select from 16 options by visiting any Ledyard Bank location or calling 888-746-4562. Ledyard's online and mobile banking includes free personal mobile check deposit, so you can show all your Dartmouth pride on your home turf. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Pierre LeBlanc, president of Engelberth Construction. For over 40 years, we've been recognized as one of the largest and most dynamic commercial construction companies in northern New England. As a premier builder and partner of Dartmouth Athletics, we have built many facilities on campus. And at Engelberth Construction, we truly believe in building relationships for life. Go Big Green.
Welcome back to the broadcast, everybody. We're on to the second quarter, 7-0 Big Green after a touchdown pass from Jack Hennigan, and there goes Buddy. You're on the move, Coach. What's on your mind there?
Oh, just impatience, man. I'm up and down. I have a hard time sitting still. Messing with a stopwatch with our defense, or our special teams coordinator. Just checking out hang time, distance, get off time. Make sure our guys are executing the way that we need to. You see a great job by Ben Kepley, our punter, and tremendous coverage, guys getting downfield. It's really become a hallmark for us. Our guys do great work, and again, it's very, very well coached by Coach McCorkle and the staff.
Even so far, each team with the turnover, but Dartmouth has taken advantage.
Ben Kepley might have been underappreciated, even though he won two-time All-Ivy, right? As a punter, he was one of your secret weapons.
Yeah, Ben, he's quiet, unassuming, and effective. He's working in the banking industry down in Boston right now, and we're very, very proud of him. And he comes up, he still comes in to see ball games and swings by the stadium and the office anytime he can.
By UNH, they had a very short field and were able to capitalize with a touchdown.
I'm pretty calm and collected on the sideline, I think, generally. Aren't I, Brooksy?
Yeah, Coach. I mean, you are just so stoic. You know, my guys love when you come over and ask us questions.
I don't hesitate to throw a comment or two.
Yep. No, that's your strong suit.
Something that you don't see.
You will make a comment.
Teams do a lot of.
This is a nice special team situation. Obviously, they're penalized, and it costs them a bunch. And we've talked to our guys at length. Just play legal, because it can really hurt you. A decent return, a decent field position. Now we've got them in a hole, and that allows our defense to kind of rise up a little bit.
Of his teams to make these kind of mistakes.
Last week, 8 penalties for 61 yards against Holy Cross. Knight will try to keep it up the middle and drag down.
Nice, who's that? Nicky?
Nicky Tompkins, yeah. Nicky ended up playing in France for a year.
And that was UN Nicky on that. And I think for us, they kept getting some penalties, and they got us time, gave us time to calm down defensively, and we got to look around. And they couldn't do what they, usually they try to throw the ball behind their back and hike it over their head or something. They didn't try to do that stuff. They tried to be basic, and they just weren't tough enough for us.
Nice breaking the ball there. Darius George. Garrisonelle, Florida product.
And as I watch this, we're so young and defensively. Everybody's a sophomore, junior, first time playing. It's crazy.
That Coop getting a push up the field? About 92. Yep.
Coop and Hoosh.
The front, Brooksy's front does a great job just getting off. It's a huge teaching point, coaching point for him. But push people up the field. You do a nice job with it. Just making a guy check his feet, start to move a little bit, and then we do a very, very good job open field tackling. A lot of it, you guys can comment, Spencer Brown, our strength coach, I believe we do the best job around developing our players. And he's very, very effective with it.
I like to tell people, I don't know what Spence does to, especially with my guys up front. We are so much stronger than other teams we play. And Brennan can tell he was like a 400-pound bencher, and I mean, I don't know what he does down there because I never go there. I just ride the bike over the top of the place. I don't know what he does, but he's doing it. We're stronger and just faster than people.
Well, the addition of the Florida Athletics Center has been tremendous as well. And just the space, and Jack, you've been in some pro areas and so forth. It's as nice as it comes.
Yeah, no, definitely. I know Cass did the plug for Coach Brooks. I was going to do the same for Coach Brown. I really liked working with him. Our coaches on the field, the football field, are great, and Coach Brown's really part of that too. Like, he's out of practice, and it's nice to have that integrated, and he'll get you kind of right in the weight room, even if you're not like a 400-pound bench squat guy like Cass. I wasn't at all, but he helped me a lot get stronger, stay healthy, get faster. So he was awesome, and the facility helped with that too. It was just as nice as anything I saw after Dartmouth that I got the chance to play in too.
And Coach Brown was teaching us stuff that we can apply to the rest of our lives. Like working out 3 days a week, we know what muscle groups affect one another and stuff like that. So he's still kind of a big force in my life.
Hennigan's pass tipped into the air. Falls down before any.
Previous play, that nice drag under pattern to Houston Brown. It was a nice thing. He could catch and run, get himself up the field. And we had great confidence in Jack, just kind of mixing it up. And some of these were run-pass options. And his selection and his accuracy was huge. How was it, those combo reads, the RPOs, Jack? Tough to execute?
They were, for me, at first they kind of were, to be honest. It wasn't something I'd done as much in high school. We'd thrown the ball a lot in my high school, but it was a nice run by
Rashad. Yeah.
I think this one came back. I think there you go, got a holding. But they were tough at first. Like we did options like that, like kind of the speed option, but my high school team didn't run as many of the RPOs. I think kids in high school now, basically a lot of teams do that, so it's probably not as new. So my first 2 years or so on campus, it took a little bit of learning and adjustment to get used to it because that was a big part of our offense. But once I felt like I got more comfortable with them and the team was comfortable with them, they were great plays for us. And I think that's why you see teams do it now, like all across college and the NFL too.
41-yard line, 2nd and 20, and Cooper takes the handoff again, going outside.
You're right back at it.
God, I love watching him run.
One of the nice things Jack did was he ran the ball effectively, very opportunistic as well. And that picked up an awful lot of big plays for us and made people pay attention because he didn't come across as, hey, the prototypical you're running quarterback. But man, you would do it, and you encouraged some critical first down pickups for us.
That was a good effort by Cooper.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't. I think people maybe doubted, and even doubted myself as like a real contributor as a runner when I first got to school. But working with Coach Brown, as we were just talking about, I think helped me feel a lot better about that, both my speed and agility, and ability to take hits and stuff like that, running the ball.
Well, that's something that always impressed me is your ability to. You take a couple of whacks. And that screen situation kind of turn them loose, and they're knocking you down, but it never seem to affect you. Some of them hurt, though, don't they?
When you're in the game, you got the juices flowing. It's not too bad. It's the next day when you're sore. But I think everyone will tell you the same thing. That's when it hurts.
2 punts ago.
Ben Kepley lining up again.
Called for the fair catch.
As you're looking very confident in that middle shield, buddy.
Yeah, I was starting middle shield, and Coach McCorkle, our special teams coordinator and DB coach, I think he really just liked me because I have a loud voice. I could just belt stuff like "Red 89." Like he must have loved that because I wasn't very good at middle shield. But.
Here we go. It's Ryder Stone.
This is the previous week, UNH against Holy Cross. The Wildcats had to come back to open their new stadium this year, and Dartmouth is actually scheduled to play Holy Cross after this game against UNH. So interesting mutual opponents. And Casey DeAndre, they're showing there, he had a pick six. He was the guy who muffed the punt that set up the first touchdown of the game. So we'll be hearing from him a little bit later. He's kind of all over the place. Pretty talented guy in the secondary.
Yeah, he was their big star that on defense at least. He'd been like starting for a couple of years and stuff. So he definitely made some plays, but we got him a couple of times too.
Oh, is this it? Yeah, it is.
Nuts.
So Coach Brooks and the rest of the D-line roasted me because I got the fumble, but actually fell down with no one in front of me in front of the end zone. So I got lots of flack for that the next day.
Well earned and deserved.
Thank God you had dog crow on that ball in your chest. There's no way you saw that, right?
Yeah, I might still have that ball somewhere around here.
Lower Romalati pulling down?
Yeah.
He did hide that ball because Steve would have tried to get it. So he had to hide it.
Yeah, I think Brock swapped it out.
That's a big thing. When our pursuit to the ball defensively, Don Dobes does a great job coaching that, as do the rest of the defensive coaches. But swarming attack, and guys are angry when they get there. Not bad field position, Jack.
Yeah, not at all. The defense bailed us out here a couple times, so this is just another one of those.
79, big David Morrison, an engineer in Boston right now.
Ryder Stone, a junior from Calgary, Alberta. He was born in Texas.
Dwayne, you said when you first watched this game back, you noticed that Brennan was making a lot more big plays, including that last one, than you remember. He's not out there every single play. How do the rotations work on that defensive line generally? Is it performance-based, fatigue-based, or who matches up better?
It starts out performance-based, and then it ends up being, during the game is who you want to play with. So once we get going, I just tell the guy, I'll grab a guy and say, okay, Brendan, you grab 2 or 3 people, and you grab your buddies and you go play. And they know, though, if they run the ball north-south for more than 3 yards, they just jog off to the sideline because another group's coming in. But they, because we try to play 8 or 9 guys, and it works for us. I mean, it works. We play a bunch of people, but it's before it's performance based on the starters, but then we just go into the game, and someone's going to play better or play better with someone else, and we let you play with your buddy. You don't let your friend down. You'll play well with them.
Yeah, in our room, whatever was simpler was probably better. Just go get 3 guys and get out there.
Like in this game with Brennan, I mean, he liked playing with Pont and Nick, so you're going to see in a couple, I think another couple plays where he gets a big sack. That's because they ran a twist on their own.
Jack, when you get a chance, describe how the plays are coming in. This obviously a progressive approach, no huddles.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So we would call most of our plays from the sideline with hand signals. Usually, if you were watching the tape, you'd see like 4 or 5 guys giving hand signals, and then of course only like 1 or 2 of those guys are giving the real ones. But we'd get them in from the sideline, and then the O-line usually, since they're doing the hardest job, try to keep it so they don't have to come back into a huddle or look and squint out to the sideline to see signals. So we would get the plays and we'd communicate to them whether it was like a run or a pass with kind of different code words that we used, and so they could get their checks. And then the receivers and me and the running back would all have to kind of get the signals, and sometimes they get complicated for sure, but then we'd use those to hopefully play fast. And sometimes that first down was the big one to get, because once you had that, you could get into more of a rhythm and get up to the line quickly and get a play off. But we could also slow it down if we were trying to milk the clock or something like that. So yeah, this game, it was all hand signals. I think later this year and some other years we've done wristbands as well that work to the same effect, where all your receivers have them and you can communicate that way.
Any comical moments that happen? The guys just aren't getting the signals, or
yeah, it was always a challenge. Is like, so in this we're on defense now, but the far sideline receiver was sometimes hard to see because you're 50 yards away or more at that point from our sideline. So sometimes that guy would be asking what it was, or looking confused, and you just didn't want guys to be doing the palms up look, because that was a sign they didn't know what the heck was going on.
Make a big play.
Redshirt freshman.
I want to know, Brendan, if you got even more flack for not taking the fumble back after it didn't turn into any points after that missed field goal.
I got an appropriate amount of flack.
Quick step back and throw.
We play every day, and when you have a chance, we fall down. Shame.
There's Neil O'Connor. Touchdown reception last week against Holy Cross.
Would the guys razz each other a little bit, Brennan?
Yes, it was definitely the D-line room was built on a lot of camaraderie through making fun of each other, basically. So there was no one that was exempt from that, which is the way it should be.
Taking the handoff is Donald Goodrich, a junior, 5 feet 10 inches.
Well, I'd walk in on occasion, I'd see high school highlight tapes playing of the guys in the room. That was always an interesting occurrence.
Wildcats trying to get that offense.
It was probably a roast section.
Second down at 5.
Like Rocco playing quarterback.
Pass, another completion to Neil O'Connor.
And McManus, Danny was diminutive, but man, physical and aggressive. He closed on people quick. He was the youngest of the McManus brothers, and my experience is the youngest is generally the toughest. The older ones.
Danny McManus again.
I think this was Danny's first game wearing number 2. I think they had all his older brothers have worn that, and he had a different number before because his older brother Ryan was wearing number 2 on offense. But then I think this was his 5th year, and he switched to it and did the lineage crowd.
He certainly did. It was a great run with all those guys. Timmy, the oldest, is actually back doing a residency in orthopedics at the Dartmouth Mary Hitchcock.
So he just got married 2 weeks ago?
He did. A high school sweetheart. He's a wonderful individual. Special family.
Two-sport athlete. We'll get to that in a moment here. As Crossan will take another handoff. Brought down after
Brendan, a lot of communication going on out there. Do you guys pay much attention as front guys? Obviously, second and third levels are talking left and right with formations. You hear much of that?
The way Coach Brooks taught us is just focus on like what's in front of you. We didn't really know much or like care to know much about coverage and stuff like that. Coach Brooks emphasized beating the guy in front of you. Like just focus on that, and everything else will follow suit.
Get up the field.
Like with this game, that guy was, supposed to be the big time running back, and they didn't really use him.
3rd and 6.
A good example of Flo Ramadi, number 9 there.
Yeah.
Playing in the Canadian Football League. They canceled the season this year. He's doing in a business deal. Brooks, you may know a little bit more about that with Ryder Stone.
Him, Ryder, Kai, and a couple other Dartmouth athletes are doing some kind of like you're done playing sports, but you're giving back. I don't know what it is. I just told him I wanted a T-shirt, so I'm not sure what it concerns, but it's something. I'm surprised they haven't called up Cowboy Jack to be an investor. You ready, Jack?
Look at old number 9. I mean, he can go. Flat out run.
Yeah, Flo is good.
Yeah, he won Ivy League Defensive Player of the Year this year, so he was a bad man.
Brandon is Charlie Miller. Charlie had a pretty good run with the NFL, a couple of years with the Jags and the Jets, and now back in the business world.
Flat out fly.
He could run. He could run.
Well, a night game here at Memorial Field.
Defense keeps holding up well, guys, but against a team like UNH, you know they can't last the entire game. So are there any preemptive adjustments you try to make to counteract what they might do differently next time they get the ball? Because, I mean, this has been, especially for only one returning defensive starter, this is an impressive start on the defensive end.
We had, at halftime, we were shocked that they weren't running the ball. That's what we were afraid they were going to do, because we're pretty young up front, and Flo was new to playing inside linebacker, and Jack was his first year being the real starter, and they didn't even try it. They helped us out by, because one thing we can do is run to the ball now. We'll all run to the ball and get a piece of it. So they were helping us by doing that. And we play enough people where, we just don't play 11. We try to play 22 to 27. So, I mean, they played right into our hands, and they couldn't do anything, so I think they got frustrated. And you'll see sooner or later here they're going to change quarterbacks. Try to get a change going, but it was too late.
We just picked up momentum as we played.
One-on-one coverage there.
Nice break in the ball there. Drew Honeycutt. Drew ended up having a wonderful career for us. He's working with the Hanover Company down in Houston, Texas. Murray Bowden, a legendary football player at Dartmouth, started the company. the Hanover company. He was really enjoying getting back to Texas.
An INT last week, as well as 6 solo tackles on the season now.
I will not go there. I will not go there with the Fresh Prince from Philadelphia.
You just did.
Drew also started the pipeline for another guy who I think he wasn't playing in this game. He was injured, but Drew Estrada, another Drew from Texas, who had a couple big years for us. So we like the guys named Drew from that state.
Charles Mack making a catch here. Charles had a wonderful career for us, graduated and then had an extra year and went to a business school down in the D.C. area right now.
A tight window there, Jack. That might be your best throw yet.
I think this is part of the game where, well, I'm going to say that, and I think like there's another pick coming up here soon, but I was starting to get more comfortable, and Cass talked about it earlier, that game speed's a lot different, and I think that was especially true. I felt that way because quarterbacks are soft and we don't get hit in practice, so these were the first like real live hits I'd taken. I'd taken like 1 or 2 the year before in just kind of like the wrap-up time of a couple games, but these are the longest I've played in a long time of like live football. So it was great to get back to it, but it probably took a quarter or a half really to settle in.
Good blocking
and a well-designed play too. We've got 3 receivers out.
Is that a young Coop there?
Yeah, Rashad.
Rashad Cooper out of California. Rashad just finished a year. He was the all-time leading scorer in the England League. Business degree over there. He's coming back and has started a business out in the West Coast with a couple of fellas. Wonderful personality. Just a fun guy to have play with us. It's neat to see where all these guys end up. Jack and Brendan, you guys stay in touch. Any of the guys in particular that you connect with?
Ben Hagman, he works in my industry. I keep up with him a little bit. He's out in Seattle, but yeah, any guys that work in your industry you seem to keep up with a little bit more just to talk about business connections or whatever. But this network we have is really special. So.
Have you found the Dartmouth connection overall? We talk about that with recruits and so forth. Do you find that beneficial?
For a long time, UNH, as we talked about earlier, 12 straight years in the
playoffs. I didn't mute myself. I just wanted to say, absolutely, I actually helped a player this year, Luca DeLeo, get an internship at our company. So I'm trying to pay it forward as much as I can and help people when I can, whether they're current players or alumni that are decades older than me.
It makes such a difference. Jack, I know you've helped Matt Sheeran and some of our other guys, especially as young guys transitioning, what it's like, what you go through, some of the contacts that you've had. And we have a group called, it's Dartmouth Football Connect, plugging undergrads into contact with graduate people, guys that have gone through it. It's been very productive for us. Smart move, Jack. Don't take a hit.
Yeah, you gotta get down. That was something I definitely learned as this season and as my kind of career went on. Is guys will hit you harder in college. So if you're not gonna, the saying we always use is touchdown, first down, get down. So if you're not gonna score, you should get a first down, which I think we did here. It was like 3rd and 5. But then after that, you gotta protect yourself so you're ready to go next play.
Showing off the wheels, Cubes. Gonna show them a little bit of that.
Hands it off this time.
I actually said on the broadcast, smart that you started your slide once you gained that first down marker. You'll see in the NFL, guys slide too early. It's where the ball is in your hand, right? Once you hit the ground. So a lot of times I don't realize they didn't get the line to gain.
Yeah, it's hard to, I mean, I'd love to say that was, I knew exactly where the line was, but I think it's more just a feel thing. And some guys, sometimes you don't realize how far back in the pocket you are. So when you start running, you're thinking like, all right, I've been running for 15 yards, but you might only be, 5 or 6 yards past the actual line of scrimmage that you started out at, especially if you're in shotgun. So takes some getting used to.
New running back, we got Abram McQuarters. And again, we're playing 3 different running backs in this game. Abram is out of Oklahoma. and he's in divinity school right now. Very, very proud of him.
Stand around the line of scrimmage, you're not
Henry Thompson just checked in at the wide receiver spot, number 4. Guy from Louisville, Kentucky. I think every time I see the Kentucky Derby.
He's about to go to law school.
What is it? Whoops.
Oh.
Let's go to commercial.
That was the win. The win took
That's the win.
Yeah.
I was hoping this was part of it that you said you guys didn't get, but yeah, that was a tough one. No excuses there. That's on the quarterback.
Did you see it coming? Sometimes as a QB, you let it go. It's like, can I have that one back? Or other times.
Yeah, I mean, that was a short pass, so as soon as it left my hand, now we'll get the, up close and personal. As soon as, I think right there, I knew this probably isn't going to end well, and wish I had been faster to chase this guy down. But once it's out of your hand, once they have it, like, there's not much you can do other than try to make the tackle and try to come back on the next drive, because that's the thing, is you get the ball right back. That's the thing, you get the ball right back. So we'll have another shot here in a minute, but yeah, tough to make it a tie ball game like that for them, especially when Cass and the defense were playing so well.
Well, forgettability is a big thing at the quarterback spot. Something happens, man, you can't dwell. On to the next one. And you were very solid emotionally. Just say next play. And that's what you have to have at that position.
Hennigan's not going to catch us.
You're running a little bit.
Not going to catch him. Come on. Linebackers are naturally fast.
Yeah, we definitely had some adversity in this game, but ultimately it's about the way you finish, and it's a good life lesson.
What makes it fun?
And also, you took 2 pretty big hits, Jack, and then still got up and almost beat him back to the end zone. That's a lot of guys might have just stayed down. It's impressive.
You're too nice, but yeah, we'd get you out pretty good in film if you didn't chase the guy down. That was something even like my high school coaches were big about. Is you gotta go after the guy if you throw a pick. Because more often than not, that's your fault. So try to make it right.
That's it. You throw it, make the tackle if you can. And it was interesting, on the sideline, there wasn't any panic. And I think you kind of go through a phase where it's like, what bad thing's going to happen? And with this team, it kind of swung that something good was going to come of it. Just say, we're fine, let's keep playing. That's, again, the senior leadership always is very, very important. Some of the younger guys, and we've mentioned we've played a number of young fellas. How do they respond? They follow the leaders.
He's one of these coaches that when you're done talking to him, you're fired up and you want
to. And I think for the 7 years I've been there now, we don't get rattled. We know people are going to make plays, score touchdowns. They don't have practice, we have practice, and we just try to hang in there.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is, and maybe there's a little plug for our league, is like all the Ivy games, which are most of your games. I know this is non-conference that we're watching, but they all are usually pretty close. Like the gap between sort of the best teams in the league and teams that finish in the middle is it's not huge. So any given week, like it's going to be a tight game, and you're going to get someone's best shot. So by the time you've been through a couple of years on campus, you've played in a lot of close games, which I think helps you as you just get older to be junior or senior, and you're playing more. You're not a stranger to games being decided by just a couple points or a score or something like that.
Yeah, the Ivy League kind of recruits all the same players, so there's a lot of parity between the teams.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, like Coach Brooks said, that's what makes it fun. Is you're gonna, there's no week where you're out of it if your team's not as strong that year, and there's also no week where you're safe. Like you gotta, fight for everything.
Yeah, they took the pitch away and saw that there was nowhere to go.
What was it like playing a team like UNH? I wonder, you guys had played them in 2014, but not many guys left. And then that was the first time since 2009. How did you guys, I guess lots of players first, how did you view that program? Nationally ranked, they're always in the national tournament. Is that a team that you're really hoping to knock off, aside from the fact that they're the in-state rival?
Tyler, I'd say, I was just about to say, at this point in the game, we were hanging around with them, so it was more like getting over a mental block that this was the team that 2 years prior had blown us out like by 50 points, and now we're really competing with them. That boosted our confidence and our ability to finish the game.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. The other thing too is like they're a scholarship program, and I think a lot of guys on our team, me included, had always wanted when we were in high school to get more looks from, get more offers. I think that's what any high school player wants. So you always have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, and people I think wrongly say like, oh, Ivy League schools aren't as good as the scholarship FCS schools or whatever. And so the chance to beat teams like that, whether it was Patriot League or CAA, I think always got us fired up.
And I think for us too is that, we talk about how good the Ivy League is, but we played 3 teams, UNH, this year was UNH, Sacred Heart, and Holy Cross. Those teams were in the top 20. We beat those 3 teams, and those teams went to the playoffs. But we ended up being 1-6 in our league. It was one of those weird years. It was weird. It was humbling, but it really was.
How about that? Big play.
Great touch.
Great ball, Jack.
This I think we lost this one too. This is I remember this being frustrating. This is I think I'm starting to get more comfortable, and definitely the longest ball we had that game, but gotta execute. So came back, but if you watch they show the end zone, like this just coaching up after the game, like that was one of the better drops I had with my feet. Like if you watch some of the other plays, my footwork was a little bit shakier, and so cleaned it up, and lo and behold, the results I like a lot more accurate pass.
Coach Staff does a great job with he played professionally for 5-6 years, and coaching feet. A lot of people don't think about that as a quarterback, but it's critical. Your upper body responds to what your feet do, and he does a good job with it. You did a wonderful job developing.
Look at Ryder. Is he
right out
there?
Ball security.
I don't remember that play.
Yeah. He felt so badly about that.
It's like a nightmare, Kaz. We just block it out, man. It's like a nightmare. You don't think about it.
64 yards from end of trip.
He was about
the score out the gate.
Out the gate.
He looks fast, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't remember Ryder having that top speed.
It's, people nowadays also, and Brooks, you can attest to it, teach ball focus. And to see that ball is a little bit of space on the backside, punches up, just pops it out. So if we feel traffic coming, double it up. Right? You never want to give the ball up. He's done a very good job with that in terms of security, and an equally good job taking the ball away defensively.
That Casey, what's his name?
Casey DeAndre, there he is.
Yeah, he was good.
He made some plays.
He had great hair. He had great flow.
Yeah, the Clay Matthews look, yeah.
Defensively, Brendan, we don't tackle, obviously. Most probably you might comment that's an adjustment to any defensive player. But we tackle extremely well in the game. How do you prepare?
Coach Brooks prepares us at least twice a week with tackling circuits that throughout my career have just been cemented into my brain. And it was like we start every indie period with tackling circuit. It was just like a rite of passage at Dartmouth, and that's what I found separated us, is the fact that we never went live to the ground during training camp. On the other side of the coin, we're tackling with dummies and stuff every single day, to the point at which it's just second nature.
It saved a lot of headaches probably, and it didn't affect our play.
What's it been like, Jack and Brennan, to see Dartmouth continue to get national media coverage for the new techniques they're bringing? The NFL, obviously, trying to pick up some of that. It must bring a lot of pride to you guys to know you're a part of what's a groundbreaking program.
This is a 30-second timeout.
Yeah, I'd say Coach Stevens, he's definitely said it before, he's trying to save the sport. The game of football will look very different in 10 years, and I think what Dartmouth has spearheaded is definitely moving the game forward.
Yeah, definitely. My favorite part of the coverage is that it usually makes a point to mention that we've had some really good teams over the last couple of years. So I think we're a lot more credible, the innovations we've been part of, because we've been, as you guys were saying, a good defense, had good teams that won games in the league. So we're not trying things and they're not working. We're trying things and then backing it up with hard work and good success otherwise, usually.
And I think people too with the no tackling, they think, oh, that means no contact. I'm like, well, not really. It just means if you're a skill guy, you won't get tackled to the ground. If you're a skill guy, you might get, if someone's mad at you, you're probably gonna get a shot taken at you. But as a skill guy, you never get tackled. But we do have contact. But I think people think that we're like standing around and hanging out. And I think for us defensively up front is that we're so fresh on Saturday. No one's hurt. No one's banged up. Because you're not tackling Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. When I played, we tackled Sunday through Sunday. You never had days off. Now we don't. I mean, they feel great. We feel good. And we don't ever miss. We don't really miss too many. We might miss a lot of sacks. That's because we get so excited and we just run by people. But I mean, the tackles we never miss. Never. Since for the 6 years that we don't miss too many. Maybe 4 a game, maybe.
That's the average is about 4 to 5 a game, and prior to this, we were up in the 15 to 20s. And it's as Brooksy mentioned, we tackle a lot. We just don't tackle each other, and it's beneficial on both sides. I think the overall philosophy is protect each other. Our offense isn't trying to win every practice against our defense. We're trying to get our defense better and vice versa. It's competitive, but you get a chance to blow a guy up. He's your own guy. You want him on Saturday, not on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
On the other end of it, with the offense, we never hit them, really. So, and we never turn the ball over. We never really fumble. We're like, first, second, third in the country in turnover margin or whatever, and we never fumble. And those guys will never get hit. I think it's maybe the water of the Upper Valley, probably.
It has been nice. I think a lot of players take a lot of pride in the fact that, again, this is somewhat historic. First team to do this, and we're having success, and other people are emulating it right now. In this COVID deal, people have had to do it this way because preseason has been abbreviated, the social distancing and so forth. You have to practice differently, and we've been doing it for 10 years now.
It also, I think it gets guys ready to, a lot of guys come to Dartmouth with aspirations of playing after college, and it gets you ready for that because, if you're trying to go pro on defense, like that's kind of the way you practice is you protect each other, and you're going to practice hard, but for a guy like Nico Lelos on the Giants now, or Vernon Harris when he's with the Chiefs, you're not tackling guys to the ground in the practice setting that you're in. So some rookies take a time to adjust to that, and I think our guys probably just hit the ground running where they practiced hard, but without hurting other guys, because you can't do that on a roster of 60 NFL guys or something like that.
Good example there, just the ball hawking. Our guys, first guy in's going to make the hit, and the next guy's looking for the ball. Good reach in by Flo. Flo, I think he led the team in forced fumbles that year. Nice way about him.
He forced the fumble that Brennan recovered earlier in the game. And looking at that replay, knee was awful close to going down. Wouldn't have mattered if they kept the ball, but I'm not sure fans realize this is one of the last years they didn't have video replay review, and that might come into play a little bit later on with some close calls.
Yeah, those are when I get agitated. You start walking fast to the sidelines.
I was going to ask you if you're nostalgic for the days of, well, that's the ref's call, let's keep playing. Of course you want to get it right, but sometimes the impatience across a lot of sports now can take you out of it a little bit.
Yeah, it's somewhat disruptive in terms of the flow of a game, but I go back to I'd rather have it right. And, the officials, it's borne out statistically, generally they do a pretty good job. But it's that one critical, was the foot in, was the foot out, was the knee down or not, did the ball come out, did it hit the ground? And those change games, and they cost championship opportunities and everything else. So I like the addition of replay. Yeah, we got work to do.
It went from 7-0 Dartmouth to 14-7 New Hampshire in about 3.5 minutes of game time. So tough way to go into the locker room, but sounds like you might have something up your sleeve for the second half.
Well, the biggest challenge obviously is emotionally. It's how do you respond to this? Head goes down, you start dragging around, or just say rally and keep playing. And again, senior leadership, resilience, some mental toughness. That's what we look to. You guys did a nice job. Brendan, any different mindset with a 2-point play?
The kicker, and you see Trevor Knight is the holder.
I don't think so. Yeah, you're kind of wondering what's coming at you, but I wouldn't consider myself hesitant. Yeah, like Coach Brooks says, just be the guy in front of you.
Big thing, just personnel. They run one off and they just make sure we get the right substitutions.
And the point after is
he did just hook that one inside the post. And what happens from here with the 17 seconds left, a kickoff and then a kneel down for the big green to send us into the locker room, 14-7 UNH. And so far looks like they might be on their way to yet another win over Dartmouth. We'll be right back.
There are lots of things that are true about each of us, but sometimes we are held back from being ourselves. Sometimes we are told we can't do a certain thing because we're a boy or a girl, but it's okay to be who we are. Girls can be messy and boys can be neat. Girls can be fast and boys can be creative. It's good for both boys and girls to talk about their feelings and to clean up their messes. It's okay for all of us to be scared, brave, loud, quiet, gentle, and smart, and it's always good to ask for help when we need it. We get to decide who we want to be and how we want to spend our time. All that matters is we are genuine and no one is getting hurt. I'll support you in being yourself, and I hope that you'll support me.
We are set for the second half of our classic Dartmouth game as they take on UNH in the opening game of the season from 2016. Couple of turnovers leading to a couple of touchdowns for UNH. So they've got the 14-7 lead as we rejoin the broadcast. And Coach Stevens, I'm sure your message at halftime, did it change at all based off it? Well, it was 7-0 with about 3 minutes to go, but now you're the team playing catch up.
Yeah, I like to think I'm fairly consistent in terms of where we are. Don't get too excited if you're ahead. Don't get too upset if you're behind. We got 30 minutes to play. Execute, play hard, finish plays, and just push in the confidence factor. We did enough good things to say, hey, we got more in us. And that's what we try to do. And then we disperse to the coaches. The assistants take over from there. Jack, what's it like positionally and Brandon as well during those halftime presentations?
Yeah, I'll speak for the D-line. It's pretty much just relaxed. And Coach Brooks is like trying to keep us cool and cool-headed, and just don't really overthink anything. Don't get too riled up. So you've got a whole half play.
22, I saw that.
Yeah, offense was pretty similar. It was what you might think of like a big rah-rah speech. You get that at the end of the half, maybe at the end of halftime, maybe. But for the first 10 or 12 minutes of the break, it's pretty. You're pretty focused on your scheme and what's working and what's not. Especially for us, usually the offensive coordinator or the quarterback coach, sometimes you wouldn't see them until halftime because they're in the press box, and so just catching up with them in person because you've been just talking on the headset up until that point.
A nice kickoff, I think, by David Smith there, pinning it down. We try to segment the field and eliminate a third to a quarter of it by pinning guys down in the corner. And kickoff placement is very, very important for us.
First-year starting quarterbacks, and let's compare what they've been able to do in this matchup here today. Trevor Knight, who's coming back out
Are
onto
there
the
ever
field
any
right now.
halftime speeches,
Sophomore from
buddy, that
Amherst,
maybe you
New
make
Hampshire.
and you're thinking,
His
yeah, that could have been in a
comparison to
movie?
Jack Hennigan.
Like any epic moments, or is it really just, guys, let's stay focused and take care of business? It's something I've always wondered.
Yeah, I'd have to defer to the players. I mean, the different levels sometimes. And, we talk about going in the black, where you just kind of lose your mind a little bit. That pops up on occasion, and it depends on. Sometimes, hey, just keep going, fellas, man, doing good work. And other times you kind of flip out. You're never quite sure does it have any impact whatsoever or not. But you kind of touch a couple of different buttons as you go.
More than a couple times, Coach Stevens had me ready to run through a wall. he had those kinds of speeches, but I loved them.
I appreciate that, Brandon.
I always felt that way, especially with games later in the season. Not that this first game isn't important, but in this game, you're still ironing out your scheme because it's your first live game. But by like week 7 or 8, you know your offense that you're executing and your defense a little bit better. So, and you're playing you're playing in other rivalry games, and you might have like implications for your chance to be a contender in the league. So that's when I would get real fired up, is like later in the year.
And that's who you're playing against, right? Because he was, those Thursday speeches, those have been who we're playing, so.
Yeah.
Well, they're generally very spontaneous, just kind of whatever strikes me at the moment. But it's nice to hear the guys at least pay attention.
And then with us defensively, Coach Doves, he's so emotionally invested in everything that I leave before his speech and before pregame because everyone starts crying. So I got to get out of here. I can't be crying. I got to get out. So, he has the floodgates open. It's like you have to win the game because everyone's crying, so you have to win. I mean, it's crazy.
So Coach Dobbs isn't on this call, but if you're watching this and you're a recruit at linebacker or anywhere on defense, hopefully you can watch another one of these classic games with him broadcasting because he's the man.
So I was just gonna say on this play I got a sack and it was like I basically beat the tackle to the edge, but the next day in film, like the whole D-line was watching this play really closely, just waiting to roast me on something I did wrong. Like, oh no, he fell down or he let you by, but no, they couldn't say that on this play. It was a legit sack.
That looked pretty sweet to me.
Yeah, nice little swipe, beat him to the edge, and then got the sack.
Is that your signature move, or did you have a spin move you like to break out sometimes?
In practice, I would hit the spin a lot, but I think this year I would say swipe, but in my senior year I started to use the push-pull a lot more. It's kind of like the go-to move for in run. We practice it pretty much every day. I started to utilize it a lot more in pass rush, but this year I was definitely like more the twitchy speed side, and then in senior year I was the more bulldozer kind of player.
Yeah, just a great throw. Just describe that back shoulder. You got a fade situation.
He saw one-on-one coverage. You knew he had the tall receiver.
Yep, you're on mute.
I was on mute. Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, it was Houston Brown there was on a go route against their corner DeAndre, who's pretty good, and so he was on top of him. Like Houston wasn't going to beat him deep, and so when you see a situation like that, you can kind of throw it to his back shoulder, throw it sort of right to where he's at, rather than leading him with arc and. Can turn into what it was, where he just can turn around and catch it, and the DB doesn't even know it's there until the last second. So that was something we worked on a lot. Guys like Houston that are smooth and with good hands had a really good feel for that kind of thing. So I think we hit one or two this game and hit some others at other points of the year. But that was always a throw that I felt comfortable with because we worked on it so much.
You develop a rapport with receivers. You hear about that often, and you had such a variety, 6 different guys you throw the ball to.
Yeah, I think you definitely do. I mean, you spend a lot of time together in spring ball and in camp, and even in the off season, kind of working individually. So with the guys like in my recruiting class, like Emery and Charles, and the guys kind of 1 or 2 years on either side. By the time I was playing more, I felt like we'd been together for a lot. And so I think I was still kind of getting a feel for that in this game, but because this is the very first game of the year that I played in. But as you go later in the year, I felt more and more comfortable with like guys like Houston or Honeycutt or Hagdorn. And for some of those guys, Houston was a senior, so he graduated after this season. But that next year, 2017, Emery and Hunter and Honeycutt were there still. So you can build on that from year to year.
We just saw a shot of the signal senders. Jake Pilata. Jake is going to Indiana University Law School. And Harry Kraft. Harry Kraft is in the SEAL training out in San Diego. Stay in touch with these guys much?
Yeah, I try to stay in touch with a bunch of the quarterbacks that were like a year or two in each direction. Those guys are doing well. They were awesome guys to play with. They did an amazing job on those signals, and they did well when they got in there too. So awesome guys, and they were both pretty young in this video. I think they were both freshmen, unless I'm misremembering. And so they were contributing right away, because that's really the 12th and 13th guy in the offense. That's just important as guys in the field and getting the signals in.
Really, the biggest part of this game so far has been.
It's interesting just seeing some of the guys playing and so forth, where they are. And Ryder Stone from Calgary, Alberta. We get guys from all over the place. And then we mentioned Nick Tompkins playing overseas. Rashad Cooper played overseas as well. Rocco DeLeo. You guys studied overseas. What was that like, and how did you do that as a football player?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to study in Barcelona for the language study abroad program my sophomore year. And what's cool about Dartmouth and playing under Coach Stevens is he likes us to kind of explore all sides of education that we could. And Dartmouth's on the quarter, so we could play in the fall, go abroad in the winter, and then come back for spring ball, which is pretty cool. And being in Spain, the young 20-something, it was, awesome food, great weather, getting to learn Spanish, completely different culture, and also taking care of the other business, like getting a gym membership and stuff like that to keep your body in peak form. So, yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun and a very rewarding experience.
Yeah, I second that. I was able to go to England when I was a junior in the winter quarter, so just for 8 weeks in January and February, and it was great. Didn't miss the season obviously, or any of spring ball, and while I was over there, got to train and stay ready to go for when we came back. That was a big part of, or not a big part, but something I kept in mind when I picked Dartmouth, because I knew at a semester school that's not an option, because you can't miss a whole semester. But it was really cool to do it at a quarter school, and had a really great time while I was over there. I think it really broadened my horizon. And another guy was studying, not with me, but on another trip in France, Matt Caskey, who's in the NFL and the Panthers now. And so him and I would meet up and do some weekend trips and travel and see things. And it was great to have a Dartmouth friend over there. And there's some other Dartmouth kids on my trip too. So it was a good community.
You guys mentioned different guys from different spots and so forth, and we have kids from all over the country. Jack, you're coming from kind of a suburban, urban area out west, and Brendan from the Chicago suburbs. What was it like coming to Hanover, New Hampshire for you guys?
It's just not going to happen. With a kid like Love, linebackers aren't going to make it that quick.
It was getting recruited on my official visit. It kind of had that feel like I was going out in the middle of the wilderness, which as a high school kid, it was really nice run here. And we had 27 was really good. You kind of had the feeling like you're going out in the middle of the wilderness, but you realize really quickly as you're there, like especially with the football team, like you're kind of like in your own area, in your own community with the guys. That's what like kind of made it different than going to Penn in Philadelphia or anywhere else. You kind of feel like you have your own community there, and building that rapport and everything, that it just, every time I go back, it gives me the same feeling.
Yeah, pretty similar experience. It was certainly far. New Hampshire's far from California where I grew up, and it seems like it's far away from a big city or something like that. But once I was on campus for a little bit, I was actually able to go to the football camp the summer before my senior year, and it was beautiful. I think it was like mid-June or early July, and it was really, really pretty. And then, once I got to campus and hung out with some of the guys that were on the team and saw how close they felt with everyone on, in their that they were playing with, and then even kids that they've met outside of football, it seemed like a really tight-knit community and a great spot. So I was excited, and by the time like this game was played, we'd been on campus. Brennan and I had for 2 years. Freshman and sophomore year, and we'd spent the summer up there leading up to this game, and it was pretty special, and it still is that type of place for me.
That's just keeping people on their toes.
New Hampshire's program really the innovator of
it's one of those things. Sorry, buddy. I was just going to say, it's one of those things where you have to almost be there to realize how special it is. When I came up a few years ago for my first broadcast, just looking around at the foliage and the campus, and I was thinking, why don't I go to Dartmouth? And then I said, oh yeah, the greats. But that's something that, Boston University, buddy, it's not all that bad.
No, it's pretty good school. Pretty good school. That's the neat thing for me, and I've been through obviously a number of years, just the people. And that's what's going to separate and make any place special, is the quality of the individuals you're involved with. And, the football team is one community, but you're part of a larger community as well. And the interaction between athletes, non-athletes, students, faculty, staff is unique. I've been at 8 different schools and never have been at one quite like Dartmouth.
Number 67, 5-yard penalty.
These guys are knocking on the door here a little bit. And our defense does a really good job in red zone defense. We've been ranked nationally, I think, the last 5 years. Really kind of tightened it down.
And you're just thinking at that point, oh, maybe I get away with it. Nope, you get away with it.
They have run for 10-plus yards on 3 consecutive plays on this drive, but it really slowed down in the red zone.
On 3rd down and goal, and it's caught.
Yeah, I guess I didn't remember that we were down 21-7 in like middle of the 3rd quarter.
And watch this replay, guys. Really close, because it was tipped in and out of and back into the hands of the receiver there. And they give you a few different looks. And I do wonder if it would have been upheld in a game today. That's not the best angle, but as he brings the ball to the ground, I'm curious to get your opinions on it. They'll play it again, but the whole completing the process of the catch would definitely be in question.
Up a 2-touchdown lead. 2nd touchdown throw from Knight. Elman for the point after.
Yeah, there's plenty of plays that I remember in my career at Dartmouth where I was like, well, if we had instant replay, like, yeah, that probably would have, like, this game probably would have ended up different.
That would be interesting. I hadn't seen that from this angle.
We'll show it again here.
Look at this at the end. Malone Woods does a great job tipping it to himself, but now you come down, you don't have possession yet, and that ball rattles around a little bit.
Could have gone either way, probably. We're playing at home, so
probably a 15-minute review, I would say. So we saved ourselves some time.
That's the unsettling aspect of it, when guys can't make up their mind or the decision.
Redshirt freshman with a big play.
Right. Into the 4th quarter.
They like to hold their helmets up a lot. I was wondering if you might know that. They do that throughout the game.
Oh, I didn't know. I just assumed it was 4th quarter.
You gotta come up with something.
That's
this game to get out of hand if you're
something I was going to ask. Now, if you add in the pick 6, that's 3 touchdowns the last 4 times they've touched the ball, and you've had your halftime adjustments, you've had those conversations. What more can you do here? Because if a comeback is going to happen, and maybe I'll go to Dwayne to answer this one first, something's got to slow down on the UNH offensive end.
Yeah, it's funny, because when we started our game plan was to have the 4 down linemen, so that worked in the first half, but then they weren't running the ball. So we're like, you know what? Let's go to 3, let Flo pass rush. We came out and did that, and they started running the ball. So we had to make another adjustment. We just had to adjust ourselves. Like I said, I'm like, Brennan, I just forgot to they jumped out 21-7 and had us on our heels, but it didn't seem like that during the game. You know, that it didn't get away from us. I don't think we ever panicked. I don't think on either side of the ball we never panicked on what was going on.
Jack, how's that offensively? Does it cross your mind, hey, we're down a little bit, or do you comment on it with the guys in the huddle or on the field?
I don't think it I mean, if you're down by like, 35 or something maybe, but I think in a game like this, we always, as you guys are saying, you always feel close. So you're just trying to think one score at a time because there's no like 14-point play, right? You're just only gonna be able to score one touchdown per series. So I think you try to dial it in and just get one play at a time going. Because when you've kind of been struggling like we had up until where we're at in the video now, like it's really just it's not about. Can't think like, oh, we need to go 80 yards. You got to think like, all right, we're just going to get 1 or 2 first downs here and start with that.
Hennigan getting the ball off late.
It's fun to see the variety of guys I haven't seen. They graduated a while ago. You guys stay in touch with many of these guys?
Defensive backs that are more than
Your old
willing to
teammates?
jump those routes.
Of course, during quarantine, we've had these like Zoom calls with a bunch of my buddies I lived off campus with, and just keeping up with them and seeing what's going on in their lives. And I tell you, like Dartmouth is something that we all kind of experience. We all have the same view of that place, and going to different parts of the country, having like a group of guys that you played with and built camaraderie with, always going back to them. It's just big. It's like Coach Stevens likes to say, some of these guys in this room are going to be your friends for the best like most of your life. And yeah, it's very true.
How about individuals that you remain in steady contact with?
They've done a great job.
I'd say Ben Hagman, Charlie Pontarelli, Porter Ontko, Rocco DeLeo, Andrew Yohe. Those guys I keep up with the most. Colin Boyd, Ryder Stone a little bit. Still keep up with the boys.
Yeah, I was going to say when Kaz talked about guys spreading out across the country, like that's something I've really thought has been cool. Like I keep in touch with Colin Boyd in Seattle. Keep in touch with Brock Bacon, who was living in New York City and now lives in Georgia. And then I'm actually going to my the first wedding of kind of one of my teammates who's getting married, Ross Wood, who's a safety, number 26. He's getting married next month in Atlanta, and there'll be a bunch of guys from the team down there, I bet. So it's cool to see how people have grown up, because we all met when we were 17, 18, our first week on campus, and it's been a couple years now. So people are at a different spot in life.
It's always fun to hear the reports back from the Dartmouth weddings.
So it's not that predictable.
Yeah, I was worried this one wouldn't happen because of COVID, but according to Ross, it's all systems go right now. So we'll see. Hopefully it's done pretty safely, and we'll be a good time.
And Jack Friedman sent pictures from his wedding, and it was just neat to see all the different football faces out there a few years back. And they all remember their times in the gridiron, and certainly at Dartmouth College.
Looking at Lucas Bavaro, number 47 in the middle of your screen. 3 solo
And Jack, that was a quick 3 and out. And obviously you're still finding your rhythm. As they show Lucas Bavaro's dad here. A cool feature they did, because the color commentator originally for this game, Steve Diassi, played on that Super Bowl winning team in 1990 with Mark Bavaro. And Zach Diassi, Steve's kid, played at Brown. So you're actually from an Ivy League family yourself, Jack, as we know. But I was originally going to ask, is this a period of the game where even if you're getting 3 and outs, you can pick up clues from the defense, things maybe put in the back of your mind for later on as you continue to adjust against this team, or you just kind of flush that drive and start from scratch?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mixture of both. You want to definitely flush the things that you didn't execute on, like, so you're ready to go forward. But yeah, the deeper into the game you get, the more you learn about their defense. And they had really good players in defense, but they didn't run. They weren't really trying to confuse us with their scheme as much. Certainly a little bit, but they were just sort of out executing us up until this point. So I think when you're seeing that, you got to take in the information, but just be focused on kind of getting the job done the next time you're out there.
You're just watching guys coming on and off the field. Brooks, you can comment on this as well. It's playing 8, 9 guys. The freshness at the end of the game, sometimes you're playing an offense and those guys, on 5, they're in 60, 70 plays. Where our guys will have 20, 30 plays. It pays dividends, and we play very, very aggressive and physical football, especially in the third and fourth quarter.
You know, I mean, up front we play, try to play 8 to 9 people, and I can tell people all the time, if you can play 8 plays in a row, you're at your best, then you've done a great thing for us. And we have to get somebody else in there and let you rest, and we come back. And my guys have bought into that. I think defensively, I think especially our DBs, they play like every 5 snaps. I think 5 to 6 snaps they play. The linebackers probably play every 10 to 15, and up front we play every 8 or so. So I mean, that really helps us because we play almost 30 people. And we wear you down. Because if you're gonna let us hang around like your ex-girlfriend, we're gonna hang around and go back out with you at some point. So we're gonna be there on top of you, and they let us hang around. So I forgot how, I watched it last night, but I forgot how they jumped back on top of us, but we never wavered.
Difficult to imagine that
and that goes back to Coach Brown because we're in really good shape.
I mean, no comment. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's the mindset of the players, and just some guys are making 4, and they've been the starter, and they play every game in high school and every snap, and they come to Dartmouth, and we're rolling guys through. 6, 7 wide receivers, 3 or 4 tight ends. Even the quarterback position, we played multiple quarterbacks on occasion as well. And it takes a certain mindset to appreciate and understand, hey, this is the best for the team, and I'm playing my role that I've cast in, and the roles change. But I've always appreciated the mindset of our players, and I think our coaches do a great job just engendering and encouraging the mindset. It's us, it's not you.
I think up front for us, we like only playing 25 to 30 plays, and we feel fresh. I mean, we all want to be the starter, but we all get it at the end. It takes a while for us to get it, but we all get it once we, when we look at the sheet after the game, we played, 70 plays, we played 25 to 30. That's a good day. And plus we win, so that makes it even better. But I mean, somehow my guys have bought into that whole rotation thing.
Jack, you hit that drag again to Houston. Is that a tough pass over the middle? You get a lot of big guys in front of you.
I mean, I think that's it can be tough to time it up with guys, and also it's usually pretty short, so if you miss it, like it's harder than it looks, I guess. So if you miss it, it looks like you're missing a guy from like 5 feet away or 5 yards away. But when a guy's running full speed across the field, because you really want to hit it on him in stride so he can run with it after, like Houston did there or Charles a couple of drives ago. That's like when it's most effective. But yeah, it's something that takes some work to time up with the guys you're used to doing it with.
There you go. It's a big run.
Nice cubes.
Push down. Pads are a little bit high, man. You took a shot there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm running upright.
We've talked about it a few times. The awareness.
It looks like you're into it.
Running ability, a little bit different than
yeah, I think for quarterbacks, I think a lot of guys would say this. Sometimes you don't get the jitters out. I mean, obviously this is later in the game, but early in the game, like a running with the ball early can be good, and that can be a good way to kind of feel like you're in the mix of the game, getting hit while you run. It's more fun than getting hit when you're throwing because you can at least, lower your shoulder.
Keith Clark does a great job with our guys up front here, and just getting a good push. We do a lot of zone combinations and just the coordination, guys fitting in and leaving to a second level, guy overtaking the block. And Danny O'Day with our running backs does a nice job just coaching patience in the back. Sometimes it's a hard thing to do. It takes a while for a blocking scheme to develop, and all of a sudden they ease into it and then they explode.
2nd and 6, flushed out of the pocket is Hennigan. Still looking to maybe get rid of it.
Escapability.
Some yardage.
Yeah.
How do you make the decision, I'm going to try to run it or I'm going to throw the ball out of bounds to avoid the loss?
Yeah, I think it's just a feel. I mean, that one, honestly, I probably would have been better off throwing it away because I think I only picked up like a yard, maybe a yard and a half, and it was pretty close there, but I think it's just something that as you get more experience, you get more and more comfortable knowing, like, all right, do I have the speed to get around the edge here? Or can I pick anything up? Or, is the wise decision to throw it away? But it was something that coaches, were always drilled into us.
You did a nice job with that option, and that's any thoughts going through your mind? You trying to influence or run an inside shoulder, or what? How do you try to compromise the defensive player?
Yeah, well, here we didn't actually end up, our read guy, I think, ended up getting blocked. So, Abram's going to be better with the ball than me. But usually if you have the free guy, we always coached it as attacking their outside shoulder because, their inside shoulder, if you go with their inside shoulder, they might be able to kind of play both a little bit more. But if you attack their outside shoulder, they'll make a decision. And then after that, it's kind of a feel thing. And if you do make a pitch, you got to make sure you can, see the guy and follow your pitch a little bit because you don't want to try to, like, while you're going down, throw it up and take a risk with the ball that way.
The defensive line for New Hampshire.
This drive is almost 4 minutes old already, and that was the first time it even went to third down. What about this drive felt different to you and felt like it had more promise? Is it the pace of it? Are things going a little quicker? Or is it just a matter of you feeling more comfortable at this stage?
I think it's a mix of both. I think, we're starting to get more comfortable. We're starting to get a rhythm. Yeah, your point about going quicker, I think, is part of it. Our offense, at least at this time, was set up to do pretty well when we could kind of get multiple plays off in a row, whether they're quick passes or quick runs. And so as we got that locked in, that was better. Sometimes if you throw a couple of incompletions in a row or you have a couple of runs for no gain, then it's 3rd and 10 and you haven't even taken up more than 30 seconds on the play clock, or on the game clock rather. So I think chewing up some clock gave the defense a rest, and getting into rhythm was good for us here.
On the 3rd down, gonna be closer. You're gonna depend on a spot. It looks like it's gonna be shy though of a yard.
Yeah, it is shy.
Big play coming.
About a yard shy too.
And now more than earlier in the game, it feels like UNH has to respect your running ability. You showed it earlier, but now you're using it to get first downs, and that might open up some other things for you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was never a run. I mean, I was always a pass-first guy. Running was not my strong suit necessarily, especially earlier in my career. But it opens a lot for the whole offense when they got to respect you running with the ball a little bit.
It's a real good call by Kevin Daft here. Fourth and a little bit. Got to pick it up, absorb everybody inside, and keep it and stick in the corner.
The snap looked pretty tough here, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't do much under center, so that's on Pat and I for messing it up. Well, it's always on the quarterback, but that was not a clean exchange. But I think that's something we got better at when we started to go under center a little bit more and mix that in. But yeah, I think they probably just saw us go under center, figured it'd be a dive right up the middle, so there was some space on the edge there to get around.
Well, no points in the 3rd quarter for the Big Green, but right now momentum on their side. They're within the 5-yard line, and that's where we'll begin in the 4th quarter. Still down by 2 scores, but plenty of football left as we rewind it to classic Dartmouth football from back in 2016. Stay tuned.
Growing your business isn't just one thing, it's a million little things. Should you lease, rent, or own? How fast can you get that part? Does it fit the budget? That's what your local CAT dealer is here for. With expert advice, flexible financing, and industry-leading equipment, you can get the job done, day after day. For a limited time at Milton CAT, get 0% for 60 months on select new CAT compact equipment.
As a trusted choice firm, the Richards Group has been committed to local communities for decades. We take the time to get to know our clients, their needs, and budget. We're independent, so we work for you, not an insurance company.
We use our expertise to find our clients the best home, auto, and business coverage at the most competitive price.
Our team provides consulting services for employee benefits, retirement plans, human resources, and leadership development.
The Richards Group. Prepare for tomorrow by contacting us today.
Here we go, 4th quarter, Hanover, New Hampshire, the 2016 season opener. Number 22, UNH has a 21-7 lead over the Big Green. Maybe the Wildcats expected to come in here and get an easy victory. But Dartmouth, with a nice long drive to end the third quarter, has come back on their mind. Let's see what they can do to begin the final frame. Now, this is a nationally televised game, guys, as you can see. I wonder if that was even known coming into the action here, if it's a little more fun to play under the lights on a televised broadcast. Brennan, it was your first game anyway on the varsity squad, so you're probably as fired up as possible.
Yeah, it's definitely the fourth quarter coming around. We were anxious to get out there.
And we're seeing the toughness of Jack Hennigan to bring that all the way down toward the goal line.
It's David Morrison, I think, pile driving you in the back here.
Yeah, big to hit.
Our left tackle, he's about 320 pounds, so he will move a pile.
But it's coming back.
An engineering graduate, again, we're very proud of him.
For Dartmouth is their
They did call a holding penalty, so back 10 yards, and now it's a little bit tougher. With some more room to breathe for UNH.
That's red zone penalties. We talk about that. The ball security down. You can't turn it over. You can't give them yards. It's so hard down there. This opens things up a little bit from a pass standpoint. Obviously, a little bit more space. But you don't want to back yourself up like that. It just invigorates the defense and it frustrates an offense. Jack, throwing the ball down tight. You get in plus 10 area. Any different mindset? Obviously, things are a lot tighter.
Yeah, things are definitely a lot tighter. You got to know that people are going to jump the routes, and it's not like you can loft it over people. So you just got to try to be that much more disciplined. I mean, honestly, like if you're throwing the ball, like you'd rather have it sometimes at the 10 than at like the 3 because you have a little bit more space. But yeah, you just kind of got to be focused on accuracy. But you also know your guys don't need to catch it and run afterwards, so you can put it like right near the ground and they can catch it and fall down or like that kind of thing. So it opens up some other space on the body for your receivers that you can try to hit. Whereas in the open field, you want to try to hit them, in the chest or the face mask so they can run afterwards.
How about matchups? Do you consider that as well as you're looking around?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of teams will, once you get inside the 20, will switch to man, even if they're zone in the rest of the field. So that like one-on-one concept that might not exist, they're playing like cover 3 or 4 in the rest of the field exists down here. But yeah, you look for your matchups, whether that's height or speed. If a guy can just like get a step on someone, then you can take advantage of it down here.
Well, it is, you get set back and you come away with not the 7 that you need. Frustrating, but just keep playing.
Did he get his hand in there, that linebacker? That looked like a pretty good throw to the back of the end zone, but maybe good coverage there on Hagdorn.
Yeah, I think good coverage. I forget what that play was called, but I don't think Hunter was like the first read. I think I went off the script a little bit, and so it was maybe there, but that guy was playing good coverage.
David Smith adds the field goal out of Montreal. He's working investment business down in, it was in New York, he went up to Toronto. So closing the gap, that becomes obviously helpful for us. Again, it's not everything that you want offensively, but it's something. And again, I think that helps our defensive people as well. We got to limit their scoring opportunities, get the ball back, and offensively, we have plenty of time, but it's growing short. So we need to be productive. Get real serious as we're getting close. How about lighter moments, things that you guys remember, comical things in the game, locker room, practice?
One thing that I still crack up about is Coach Brooks mic'd up, which was posted on YouTube. If you're on YouTube right now watching this, go ahead and type that in. But it started snowing for a spring practice, I think, and Coach Brooks started like humming along like a Christmas tune, like it's like those little things that you remember.
I think for me, I don't know if it's funny, strange, or funny, ha-ha, is that if you were to be in our locker room before practice and after practice and on the field during practice, you would think our team hated each other by the way they talk to each other and how do we go about things. And then on Saturday, we're totally different people. But during the week, you would think that it was like your neighbor from 4th grade who you threw a rock at and hit him in the eye, and he was still after you. That's the kind of stuff that goes on. It's crazy to me. Because you would think, because when we do pass rush with the O-line, we go at it. We just chatter, go back and forth. It is crazy. Sometimes coach has to come down and stand there to keep them from, I mean, it's crazy. And it's just like, I go, is this the same team? I'm like, okay, whatever. That's how we get down. Let's go. But I mean, it's different. You're different.
Yeah, the team is definitely in partitions, the defense and offense. Like, you don't hang around the defense during practice. Don't hang around the offense. Stay in your lane and push each other.
It's hilarious.
I thought something that was always funny was, it wasn't funny at the time, but once you're really a sophomore or above, just watching some of the freshmen like figure out college in their first couple of weeks on campus is really funny because some of them like take to it right away and they're like right at home. Some guys are like run around like a chicken with their head cut off, and they like need to slow down a little bit and figure it out. So not that you're like some wise person when you're a junior or senior, but you know what you're doing a little bit, and then you look at freshmen and you know that you were just as clueless as they are when you first got there.
If you ever make a mistake offensively, defensively, in some drill, special teams, someone's going to ride you for at least 3 or 4 days. They'll just keep bringing it back up the same thing. I mean, it's comical. I love it's crazy. I've never been, I've been in 6 different places. This place it's how it is all the time. It's pretty good. That's what makes us really good.
Senior captain.
And you walk off the practice field and into the locker room and up campus, and you're best of friends, kind of jacking each other around a little bit about what just happened. It's cohesion is a huge thing with us. I think it starts with the coaching staff and emanates throughout the squad. It's fun to push each other, challenge each other, but also have some fun together.
We're not the best players, but we're the best team, that's for sure. We're unique as a team. It's interesting.
Well, that's what you needed.
Coach Brooks, how come they switched quarterbacks there? Did they bring in that other guy just for like one play or what?
He thought he was going to do something more. He actually helped us.
Yeah, because he throws a pick here later, I think, that's big for us.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what they were doing. I mean, I guess you experiment. I mean, I don't know. It was an odd game because they did total opposite of what we thought they were going to do, what we were prepared for. We thought they were going to try to run it down our throats, and they brought this guy in to help us.
A nice play by Charlie Miller. We hate to see the ball bouncing on the ground. He took a little bit of a risk because it's rolling and a lot of UNH people around him, but picking that up and returning it picked up about 9 extra yards.
That pass low. Rashad Cooper, really no chance to catch that one.
All right, Rashad Cooper will use our running backs as wide receivers. It's tough picking those guys out of the backfield. They just kind of emerge suddenly, Jack.
Sometimes most of the guys that I was lucky to play with had pretty good hands for running back. Sometimes that's if you want to make fun of running back, you can tell them they can't catch. But most of the guys we had were smooth receivers, like Rashad and Ryder, and I think Miles Smith played in this game a little bit too. So those guys are they're easy to throw to because they're fast, but they caught the ball decently well. And a lot of times we've got them running against a linebacker too, so they hopefully have a good matchup.
Yeah, Emory Thompson just made that catch. He's also just critical with kickoff and punt coverage. Special teams guy made just an unbelievable amount of tackles. As a wide receiver, you wouldn't anticipate that, but just a tough guy. Loved to play.
Numbers not too pretty for Hennigan, but he's kept
his stat line looks better and better every time they show it.
I don't know. 36 attempts, 125 yards, not usually what you're looking for at this point.
Only one thing that matters, the dub.
It's Drew Hennigan.
We cleaned it up here, the back half of the game a little bit more. But that's usually the type of stat line for a full game that quarterbacks put against us. Which was always good. Guys would get frustrated facing Coach Brooks and Coach Dobbs' defense.
Here's the replay. Was he down?
That's the big question, Jack. Do you remember?
I don't remember. I mean, I think I always tried to blame myself, and that was probably poor ball security. So I guess we can see here. But at the time, I wasn't thinking, oh, I was down. I was thinking, like, holding like kind of a loaf of bread there. So got to be better.
Look who that is again. You're close.
It was a nice move, though, in terms of setting up that block.
As Drummond Myrie held him up.
DeAndre again doing that.
I thought watching it live, no way it was a live ball, but I think they'll show a couple different angles. It's 50-50. But that's a turnover where you could be forgiven if you're a fan and you're thinking, well, UNH has it.
That's it, yeah.
Late lead, they're in control, but this defense has shown a lot of resiliency already in just this first game.
Turnover with the team. Reese the throw. It's complete as
Can't believe they brought that guy in.
Try to knock that one
Thank
down.
you.
But Malik loved the reception.
Yeah, a little frustrated with the other.
DeAndre Murray right here. Watch this. This is.
Yeah, we do an awful lot. And again, just that ball strip right there. We do a lot of ball security drills with all of our guys, quarterbacks, running backs, offensive linemen recovering fumbles. And it does pay dividends for the course of time.
Jack, were you playing with a sling?
No, I think I just ripped my shirt there, or I just had long sleeves on, and then it got torn up there because it's like that, thin material.
Adam Reese still in at quarterback.
Second series.
I forgot about that, but yeah, I had to get a new shirt.
Played 10 games last year.
Steve Ward, our equipment guy, since retired.
Yeah, we were well equipped. I'll do the plug for our gear, but we always had. Yeah, that wasn't a problem to get some new. I know some friends that played at other colleges where if they lost their lucky shirt, they would have been pissed. But we had more gear than I knew what to do with.
Well, Nike does a wonderful job with us, and John Slusher is the head of team sports at Nike. He was a fullback at Dartmouth years ago, and then John Gallagher, a tight end, is out with them, and Andy Russell is a safety for us. So we've got a pretty strong representation. Luke Hussey, another guy working with Nike. So we're very proud to wear the swoosh, and we do have a lot of gear we give our guys to spread the word.
I still work out in all my Dartmouth gear. I got plenty of it, and it holds up really well. So
we have Friends of Dartmouth Football has been hugely supportive of us, and our whole thought as a staff was run a major college operation in a place that doesn't compromise academically. And we're doing, I think, a pretty good job with it. We're the winningest team in the last 7 years in the league, and we have the highest graduation in the country for Division I football. And it's fun to see our guys go on, and Jack's mentioned a couple of NFL guys, himself with the 49ers, Ryder Stone, Flo Romolati up in the Canadian Football League, Charlie Miller with the Jags and the Jets, Matt Gaske with the Panthers, Nico Lelos with the Giants, Isaiah Swan with the Bengals, Vernon Harris with the Kansas City Chiefs. So we've had a good number, and every one of those guys has graduated. So very, very proud of the collective program, the support people give us, and the work our coaches do with our players.
Holding, number 74 offense.
Bunch of penalties this game. Early season.
We didn't sack him. We were being held, obviously.
Scrambling around, sometimes it's difficult. You've got to hold on a guy.
How do you deal with the fact that people say there's a holding penalty on pretty much every play? It's got to get frustrating to some extent.
No, they didn't say 67.
74.
Yeah, they probably call it every time, but you know you're going to be held.
Scramble holds. That was a.
Well, it's nice to know how you guys, Brendan especially, that the umpire, there's guys who'll let you play, and then there's guys that just got kind of the sticky wicket and everything is called. And I'd rather the one that let you play a little bit. And the seasoned guys, hey, he wasn't going to make the play anyway. I let that one go. And it's the guy he's going to make the play. A big play right here.
Yeah, by Colin.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, we made sure to give him a lot of flack by getting caught on this reception. I remember him saying, I've been in a bunch of plays. I was really tired. Like, yeah, you got caught. It was you straight to the house. You got caught.
Boy was also there's at least a guy or two every year, but Boy was a guy that played a lot of offense in high school, and so his mind he was still like a receiver, and he's like, I would have scored here, So he always loved to talk about how good he was with the ball in his hand. So Yeah, this is a huge play, but I'm sure guys love to give him a hard time when he didn't take it further back.
He didn't run up the hash. He ran up the wrong hash. He ran 40 yards across the field. He should just came right up the hash. He was scored.
From UNH, Hennigan to pass. Completes it over the middle, but no gain, maybe a loss to Drew Hennigan.
Another drag route.
Well, Casey DeAndre,
First things are tough. We just designed to hit underneath under coverage.
I think Colin Boyd's outfit is still around, right? Somebody wears his outfit that he wears on game. Did I hear that same thing he wears preseason? The outfit the whole time? I think we still have that.
Yeah, he used to have like some pajama pants or flannel things he would wear like to our meetings in training camp.
You would wear it the whole training camp without washing it or anything. Like, oh, it's disgusting.
We still have it. We still have that.
Our man from Seattle.
The professional skier. Right?
How about, were there other unique characteristics any of these guys had, or little nuances that we don't know about?
I mean, I think every guy has at least a couple things we could say. We could go on. It would be a whole separate, video. But Boyd was, everyone loved Boyd with good reason.
Said his name a couple of times today.
He was a piece of work.
And I read online that Brennan's a pretty talented guitar player. I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, that was more high school. I didn't bring a guitar up here, but yeah, in high school I was pretty good at guitar. Maybe I got to get back into it. Got a lot more time.
A lot on your plate when you're a student athlete in the Ivy League. I get it.
Steps up and will run.
Jack, you're really effective with that. I mean, sometimes it kind of collapses a little bit and you get that spurt. Picking up yards like that keeps drives going.
1 to you, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys. 7 guys blitzing.
Nice job by Ryder Stone.
Yeah, running back's helping out with the block. That's big.
He wasn't a big guy, but man, he was powerful. He grew up in a cattle ranch in Calgary, Alberta. Made a home visit, and I couldn't get through the cattle herd. It had snowed, and there was like 400 cows on the road. And I was driving through dirt road to his house. He had to sit out, waiting, and licking my windshield and looking at me through the back window. And I couldn't get a hold of him. We didn't have cell service up there.
Yeah, Ryder and Brennan were like the two strongest guys, at least while I was there. They were always duking it out for heaviest squat and hang clean and that kind of thing.
I think Ryder was in the class of his own. That guy was just stupid strong. Yeah, it was me and him. Oh, converting this 4th down.
Here we go.
Nice. The game on the line.
And Brown again.
Houston was always sure-handed. He he's a quiet guy, laid back, but he'd always make the catch on this kind of play.
He had that kind of snake-like quality. He just kind of oozed in and out of things, and he was silent but deadly.
Situation. Have not come away with a touchdown. 1st and goal earlier in this half. Hennigan will throw it up.
Nice.
Little
flick.
We designed that, Jack?
That wasn't exactly how we drew it up, but that was, I think, if I remember, the play was called duck, I think, which meant double under corner. So, can't see it on this screen, but the inside guy of the 3 receivers ran a corner, and then Emery ran a under, so like 5 yards and break across, and he just kept running, and we found each other.
This is what Coach Stevens would call A&I, adjust and improvise.
There you go.
You did look.
We're the masters of it.
That's first career touchdown there for Emery Thompson and Coach Brooks. Could you even have drawn up a technique to stop that from Jack? Or what does that defensive player do? He's caught in the middle.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, especially if you're close to the goal line, if you leave your feet, you figure you leave your feet, he's going to run by you. You try to run through him, and you hit him late, you're going to get a penalty, so you're caught. Hopefully you knock it down somehow, or he steps over the line. But you can't stop it. You can do it. I'm surprised a lot of people don't do a lot more of that. You don't do a lot more.
Easy to pull off, as we see there again.
That's tough as a wide receiver too, coming through and seeing that stuff. You get hands and kind of like a picket fence. Just great concentration by Emery and continuation of the play. Sometimes guys kind of give up on it, and he stayed right with it.
So you have to go back to the old tight end pop pass, Tyler. You know what I'm saying? Do that pop pass back there.
Oh yeah.
The same.
The nice thing, he scores a touchdown, and right now he's running down covering the kickoff.
Yeah, just to give a shout out to Emery. He was always one of the hardest working dudes on our team, and you see this here, he'll probably make this tackle or something like that. He was a beast on special teams.
He says he'd like to get into politics and go into law school, just keep his name. Wonderful personality, great way with people, and a very, very dedicated, hard worker. A little too much here. Coach McCorkle's not happy.
So my question in these situations is, I'm glad I have some experts to tell me. You're a defense, and you know that UNH, all they need to do is get a few first downs, kill the clock, and the game's in the bag. So, you know, run is probably likely, but you can't go all in against the run because then they'll have wide open receivers and they can just milk the clock that way. So how do you balance the play calling and the aggression of maybe your guys up front to cover both areas in such a critical situation?
Yeah, I think what we did, I mean, we went back down to 4 linemen again, right? We came back with 4 down linemen. They ripped it on this play, but they didn't, you know, like I said, I thought we were going to run 27, and they never did. You know, and they kept the, you know, they kept the little guy in there, and we thought he was going to be a screen guy, but he ran it a couple times. And like I said, 14, they brought him in for, I don't know, I mean, I thought the other guy was doing okay. You know, but something happened, and we were lucky that it did. You know, because they kind of have us right now. Like I said, on the sideline, I said no one was really nervous.
Another quick hit to the left side.
Really nervous.
Yeah, as Coach Dobes would say, just do your job.
Team football, guys just have a belief on the reciprocal side of the ball, and you just go out. We're going to get it done.
And like on that, they just jumped off sides, and they're winning. They should be ones relaxed. They're the one pressing.
A little bit of a flinch.
5 yards for flinching. But that definitely helps because you said it. They ripped off 5 yards, and in a situation like this, that feels like almost as good as 20 because they just need a few more plays to wind it out. And you do have 3 timeouts, though. That always helps.
Quick hitter on the inside. Yep, there you go.
And Love diving.
That's something we like to just philosophically save all of our timeouts. Just use them at the end of the half, use them at the end of the game. Some people are a little bit more willing to do it early, and I tell our guys, don't. You can never have enough tight ends at the end. Timeouts at the end.
Hit him in stride. That was a big play had he hit him in stride. Instead, he got a big 3rd down.
3rd and 10.
Over 8,000 fans on hand for this one.
Yeah, the crowd's loud too. I tell you, with the Florence Center, the sound reverberates. It's a fun place to play. Here we do, getting after it.
Yeah.
Oh.
That one, right? We went back to the 3-man front, and we blitzed. We actually blitzed someone, which is rare.
That Miley?
Yeah, it was Miley.
Eric almost had it.
Tough dude from New Jersey, working in New York right now.
Coming off the corner. Dartmouth hasn't blitzed that much.
God, Flo was unbelievable.
I didn't realize how close Rick was to picking that.
Yeah.
Game of inches, right?
Dartmouth defense did a good job after a nice kick return. Now it's UNH's defensive turn.
It's exciting. Get the ball back, you have an opportunity.
Thought after that first play, you're going to rip us, and then they get the penalty, fall apart. You know,
very fortunate here against special teams play. Just catch it.
Scary.
Yep.
So Dartmouth dodges a bullet, and they'll have
3 timeouts, 3.5 minutes.
5 points with 3:35
And remember, before that Colin Boyd interception, UNH was driving up 21-10. A few more first downs, certainly a few more points, and it's all but over. So that right now is probably the defensive play of the game.
You can see the UNH fans a little bit nervous there.
Dodging a bullet at their own 20-yard line after the punt was muffed, but The fumble recovered by the big green, and the first down pass was low, but complete.
Lots of space.
There's what you were saying, Coach. See Houston just kind of sliding in, picking up a first down, which on this kind of drive is big because it stops the clock for a little bit so you can reset. Whereas like if you'd only gotten 9 yards, the clock keeps going. So big run from him there.
Now, how does the QB, they're playing a little bit softer defense. They keep it all in front of us. How do you feel about that as a QB when you got to chuck it, got to get it down the field? They know that too.
Yeah, I mean, I think you like seeing them sometimes if they. Not saying that this happens all the time, but if they switch to something that they're not as comfortable with, sometimes that's better. Like in this drive, actually, I don't know if there's a good angle to see, but on a few plays, including that long one that Charles just had, they switched their coverage a little bit. So number 25, I think it's number DeAndre, the good corner. Rather than being on the boundary, he switched to the slot in the nickel position. And so rather than having like a side of the field that he could kind of lock down, he was on a different position, and I think that actually opened things up for us. So sometimes teams switch their scheme in this situation, and if they're doing something they're not as comfortable with, it can open things up. The other thing is, even though you have like 70, 80 yards to go, you can pick that up in small chunks, and those can happen pretty quickly. Like 3 minutes, which is what we started with, is a long time. So like 10 yards from Houston, if you get a check down for like 5 or 6 yards, like those things add up. So you don't need to press until you have a chance. And right here we were able to get a good kind of look, but it wasn't something that we forced. Emery was one-on-one against the guy and was able to get open. It wasn't like we were trying to press it into double coverage just so we could get a big chunk.
What a throw and catch with ET.
Yeah, it's a great adjustment.
Big.
Kind of a back shoulder. I don't know if that was by intent or.
Yeah, I mean, on a play like that, you can underthrow it intentionally, and then he turns around. It's just like catching a punt, and he can adjust quicker than a DB that's backpedaling or something. So I don't really remember honestly whether that was like fully intentional, but just ended up being a good spot for it.
It looked fully intentional to me, and I thought it was a great intent. But it did.
37 yards, longest pass of the day for Jack.
And I think Jack was wonderful with this, putting the ball in a position a guy could make a play. And we had guys who could make plays. Houston Brown, as we mentioned, Charles Mack, Emery, Drew Honeycutt. Let's just let guys make plays.
The New Hampshire timeout here. I don't imagine you're thinking at all, buddy, about scoring and winding down the clock. At this point, you just want the touchdown, right? It'd just be a luxury if we're able to leave UNH with only a few seconds left, right?
Yeah, it's more, hey, we got to score. We know they're a good football team. We've got to make some plays. What's going to give us an opportunity to get into the end zone? If we can squeak it out and milk it down, great. But we want to make sure that we have time on the clock. We don't feel like, hey, we're panicked. You also want to use your timeouts or conserve your timeouts just in case. But yeah, for me, hey, get in the end zone. Don't worry about it with our defense, which we have great confidence in.
He undercut the receiver perfectly, made a one-handed catch. That was a great play. That wasn't.
And UNH wants to prevent way too early.
A stupid play. That was just where a guy.
Sometimes people feel like you keep it in front of us, and that can hurt you. This is, I thought, a very, very good call. And again, to your point, Tyler, a run, pick up decent yards. We're getting closer, and the clock continues to run.
Hennigan was down. DeAndre can't help himself. Watch this.
Jack does a nice job setting it up. Again, just eye level and everything else. He's looking downfield. You get a drop with the second and third level. You get a crease to present.
It must be in his nature.
Second and goal at the 1. Can the big green punch it in and take the lead? Hennigan tucks it now, throws it. Touchdown.
Another.
Look at that sideline.
Right.
Celebrate with the teammates.
Coaches are already there. They moved on. They're ready to go for 2. Our coaches are always thinking ahead.
Same thing.
And Target will probably go for 2 again here.
Yeah, you almost have to. Right here, look at this. He pulls the ball down. You have to respect.
Good job again, just kind of adjusting.
That's right where that linebacker.
Patrick Mahomes, it's fun to watch play. Just kind of the ad lib. Not drawn up that way, but do what you need. And Jack coming back, man, finishing strong at the end of the ball game when we needed the most, making plays, making throws, having confidence, securing the football.
And not even close, so it'll stay 22-21. That's 2 failed 2-point conversions back-to-back for
That's
Dartmouth.
now up to our defense. It's fun. It's energized on the sideline too. It's fun as a coach just to see the enthusiasm, the excitement, the anticipation when it's down close and the guys got to make plays. And
this is
we've got time.
Yeah, this is for a defensive lineman. This is like the most fun scenario you could ever be, because it's basically pin your ears back and go as full speed as you can, and just like don't worry about contain or stuff like that. We'll be in dime. Just go, pin your ears back, and go like a bat out of hell straight up quarterback. Like, I had a lot of fun in like 2 minutes.
But it's tough on an offensive lineman as well, because you know, hey, here's a pin back, here we come. And they're going to have to throw the football as long as we do a good job covering on the kickoff.
Or do you cover the receiver that he can throw to? It's just not a very good position for any player to be in.
Kai got hurt in this game, didn't he? Kai get hurt in this game?
I did. He dinged his shoulder. Kai McKinney-Cruden, and strong safety, very, very solid player for us. And the other guy graduated, he went to England, got his MBA, and is coming back over, getting into the business world. Well, kind of a nice thing. The guys, they love playing, and to extend it, and some of these European post-grad opportunities are wonderful for us. David Smith with the kickoff.
Popped it up a little bit.
More of a squib kick, just trying to keep it away from their big returner. That's a pretty good job. They got a long way to go with a little bit of time.
We know their field goal kicker, Morgan Ellman, missed from 42, 43 yards at the beginning of the broadcast. So you figure if you can keep them away from the 25, somewhere around there, you're in decent shape. But it's got to be nerve-wracking knowing that they only need a field goal at this point. Touchdown is just a luxury.
Yeah, that's you develop gray hair in situations like this sometimes.
I just remember thinking if he does get close, he'll miss, because he only kicked like 4 all year. He only had 4 attempts, so he didn't have any practice at it. So.
And we historically, we've done a very, very good job pressuring field goal kickers, PATs. A lot of blocked opportunities, and people see that on tape, and it's unsettling for a kicker. Great job getting off blocks out in the perimeter. Their ball's inbounds, clock continues to run. They're scrambling, trying to get a play in.
It's basically an extended sweep and get the ball out quicker to the guy you want running the ball.
So communication is critical here as well. Things happen a little bit faster. Good pressure off the edge.
It's slow.
Flo taking a shot. And he was a tough dude. He was so low to the ground in his pass rush, and he'd bring it. He'd love to play.
The total opposite of what an NFL guy looks like, right? Knock-kneed, pigeon-toed, high-ass. He has too many variables. You know?
The student body, too, gets into it. Guys, men and women just hooting and hollering and screaming. Fun environment to play in.
Again.
The quarterback was scared back there.
He's scared. That's why I'm there. I'm like, you know, they had that. I mean, I think that was a younger guy. He's in there under fire.
Lucas Pavaro, great job on the tackle, open field. But it is, when you hear that heat as a quarterback, Jack, you can attest, you try to ignore it, but there's a lot of noise around you. And if it's just close, especially for a young guy, it's unsettling. He rushes his pass. Jack mentioned his feet. You don't get your feet set quite quickly enough. The ball becomes a little bit errant or hard to control. So as a defensive lineman, we want those sacks. But if you can get close, you can make a guy adjust his position in the backfield as a quarterback. It's disruptive.
Yeah, 100%. And then you start thinking there's pressure even when there's not. So you waste good pockets and you waste opportunities.
You would think on this would come, you know, all that pressure that they at least try to maybe run a draw or
screen or something.
On the perimeter. But they stopped doing it.
1976.
They need 3 yards, then they need 60 on.
I know you offensive guys. I don't know what you're thinking.
Respect for the Dartmouth defense, probably.
Well, their kicker, Morgan Ellman, only attempted 5 field goals last year.
But I'll tell you, your fans' help playing at home is a huge plus.
Another short pass to the middle.
4th and 3, and Knight back out there throwing on the run for first down.
Good conversion. Still in bounds.
Close.
Stop the clock for a chain move.
Receiver for UNH, and another very good catch. Knows exactly where the sticks are and gets right to them.
How many fourth down plays do you usually have in your book, or you just go to a regular play that you happen to like, or is there kind of a fourth down category?
No, offensively, you just have a fourth down play, middle, long, short, just in case, and then sometimes it's adjust on the fly. Something's been working, you had good help with it, they show something coverage-wise or whatnot, so it all depends. Well, this is the fun part of the game, where it's happened so fast, you have to react.
Another 20-plus yards to even get remotely comfortable.
And on the sideline, it's going wild. The team's all screaming and yelling. The fans are all screaming and yelling. It's electric.
2nd down and 2.
Again, good pressure, just flushing a guy that makes it so tough on a quarterback.
As an incomplete pass. Looking for Love again.
You brought the righty back in, right?
With 39 seconds.
Yeah, Trevor Knight's back in there.
Brought him back in.
He came in for that fourth down conversion.
We brought him back. If I was him, I just would have handed it to us. But that's just me. It took me on the bricks for 20 minutes. But.
Third and along the 1 now. Knight over the middle. There's contact. No flag.
What's going on inside there? You guys talking at all, or just balling out?
We're just teeing off on them. Like I didn't think that they would. I didn't think they'd show pass on like 4th and 2. I thought they'd do something else, but as you'll see in a minute, like I hit a quick like club and like I froze the guard and hit a club and swim. We'll see it in a minute, but and the ensuing aftermath, of course. But so oh no. Yeah, must have something else happened.
They flinched here.
They go back as they become.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Just anxious to get it done. Can't
And they were more nervous than we were.
I was going to say, a seasoned football team and one with a lot of kind of untested guys. We're showing a little bit of poise and confidence late in the ballgame here.
This is game 3 for UNH, and they played San Diego State. A game they got beat 31-0, but that's against an FBS team earlier in the season.
And that guy rushed for 199. I'm like, that's not a bad day.
There you go.
Got it. They don't show it. They don't show. Oh, they do. So, Tyler, like before you even asked, like what was going through my head, I don't know what was going through my head either. I had no idea. I don't remember this. What you're looking at, it was just all black. Coach even says this thing of like staying in the red. It's one of his like core tenet philosophies. Like in the white, the color spectrum is not enough energy. In the black is too much. Red is where you want to be. I was in the black. I don't remember this at all. There's just way too much energy. I'm freaking out. And the only thing I really remember is seeing a yellow flag in the field, and I thought I just gave them a first down, and I was considering like quitting football the next day. Like if I just let them win, I was just, okay, I'm gonna just hang up my cleats. And that's what I thought Coach Doe was just chewing me out for right here. Like, you blew it. Like, you blew it. The game is over. Like, they're gonna get a first down. They're gonna score. And then I slowly realized, like, no, like, it's like they changed possession. We're fine. We're gonna win the game. But I was still just so jittery that I had no idea what was going on.
What was the quote attributed to you?
Quote attributed to me? I don't remember. Jack, do you remember?
I remember, I don't know if they just showed on this, but I remember you were saying, they interviewed you or something, because you got Defensive Player of the Week, right? And they asked you the same question. You said, all I could think was, what have I done?
Oh, right.
What have I done?
Yes. What have I done? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, also worth knowing, very short story. My parents were watching this game on live TV in Chicago, and they were just so hyped. Like, I got the winning game. And then as they saw Coach Dobes just grill me on the sideline, they just started laughing. Like, they knew I wasn't having a bad memory. It's just like, just typical Coach Dobes, like, ripping me on TV or something. So, anyway, lots of good memories. A little cringeworthy watching it right now, but I mean, yeah, it was definitely my best game and one of my best football memories.
Well, the thing we loved about it is just the way that the emotion you played with, and it was on full display right there. And Wild Red is what I prefer. Obviously, a red-headed guy, but man, he played just wide open, and it made such a difference in our defensive front and our defensive and our football game. The guys feed off people that have high energy, and Brennan certainly did, and that I will forever remember at the end of the UNH game because of that.
That was awesome. I never laughed so hard ever because Coach Jones, like he's about to rip him. I'm like, oh boy, I might have to console him and be nice. But
it's also worth noting Coach Dobes, after he did that, like, which was nationally televised, and we were in Lev, like, celebrating. After the game, I went up to him and was like, Coach, I'm so sorry. Like, that'll never happen again. He's like, oh, no, it's not a big deal. I just had to rip you so everyone knew. Like, no big deal at all. It's like, of course.
That's awesome, guys. This has been so fun. 15 unanswered points, all in the fourth quarter for the Big Green. And to wrap it up, I want to give you each the floor just to say farewell or your impressions of this game or how everything's going right now. We'll go down the line. We'll start with the players first. Jack, your first career start turns into a win, and I'm sure it's a memorable one for you still.
Yeah, super memorable. Yeah, I was pretty green going into this game and even afterwards, but this was certainly, like Brennan said, going to be a high experience in my experience at Dartmouth in general. And so it's great first one, and was fortunate to have a couple more years playing with the guys, and just watching it now feels like a long time ago, even though it's only a couple years. Just makes me really grateful for all the times I had up in Hanover and with the team. So this has been super fun. Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you. And Brennan, I know every guy before their first game of the year always dreams about, envisions big plays, but I mean, for you, fumble recovery, 2 sacks, including the game winner, I mean, couldn't have drawn it up much better than that.
You definitely couldn't have, and I couldn't have ever anticipated my first college game being like this, like in no way, shape, or form. But yeah, I'd just like to say thanks for having me on, and there's football season's back. It's definitely going to be a little different with the state of the world right now, but it brought me a lot of joy just watching football with my former teammate Jack and my 2 coaches, Coach Brooks and Coach Stevens, and just made me realize how grateful I am to have played for Dartmouth. So it's a pretty special place.
And Coach Brooks, I certainly learned a lot from you about defensive line play during the last 2 hours. We'll give you your final word here as we start to wrap up.
Yeah, I'm really appreciative of being on this and being thought of by Brennan as someone that taught him some type of life lesson, which is outstanding. Like I said, from where I'm, from to where I am now, it's the greatest times of my life. I mean, it's sad about COVID, but that'll end soon, but I mean, it's everything that, like I said, watching that game and everything that was done and people running around, and everybody was so young back then when you look back, and we played that game, we were mature enough to win. And it just, like I said, again, humbled to be on this, and I thank you, Brennan, for asking for me to be on. You're my guy, you know that. And Tyler, thank you so much. And when we win this Emmy, it's going to be outstanding. Part of Golden Globe or whatever where we're going to win. But I'm all for it. I appreciate it.
Can't wait for awards season. Coach Stevens, your final word, sir.
Yeah, Tyler, this was wonderful. Thanks for putting it together, and Dwayne and Jack and Brennan, what a wonderful job. It's fun for me as a coach. I've had a lot of guys come through during the course of time, but to have guys that I have great respect for, true student athletes, reflect on their career and their experience at Dartmouth is special. And I think it speaks for many, many of the guys that have gone through our program and through Dartmouth over the course of time. It's a special place with special people, and very, very fortunate to be a part of it.
We also want to thank Ben Myers, our executive producer, Rick Bender in Sports Information, and to all you out there tuning in. One last thank you goes to our friends at Ledyard National Bank, the official banking partner of Dartmouth Athletics, for bringing us today's game. Remember, you can visit ledyardbank.com or visit a branch to check out Ledyard Dartmouth Athletics branded debit cards. Ledyard National Bank, plan well, live well, play well. Well, gentlemen, we can't wait to see the Big Green back on the field as soon as safely possible, but it's been a blast to relive this game with you. Dartmouth beats UNH for the first time in over 40 years, 22-21. We'll see you next time.